And that's what's so great about these fans. It's something that they don't keep, they pass it down to their kids, and their kids pass it down. And I think it would make them so great.
You know, how can you love a baseball team? How can you love something as abstract as a baseball team? And yet there is this tremendous love between this community and the Tigers.
These people know and appreciate baseball.
Very knowledgeable fans. They stick behind their team a long time. I think it's the work ethic of the people in Detroit, the factory workers, the people that put in long hours, and I think they appreciate any player that comes and gives 100% and gets their uniform dirty and looks like they're really trying hard, and I think that's all they ask for.
That is the strength of the game, that the lore is passed on from generation to generation. My grandfather saw Ty Cobb play. My father saw Greenberg and Gehringer. You know, I saw Kaline and Cash, and my daughters, you know, see the Tigers of today. And we can all partake in the lore, the seamless web of history that this team entails.
They play the game out there on ball fields from Florida to California to New York and back to Michigan and Trumbull. But it is in the hearts and memories and hopes of their fans that the Detroit Tigers shine the brightest. They have won it all, and they will win it all again, as long as memory exists, as long as Dad tells a story to his kid, as long as old pictures and film and video and baseball cards survive. The Detroit Tigers are always young. In the Tiger tradition, we are always just one opening day away from the next great team. We are all back at the ballpark, in front of our TVs, huddled around our radios at night. There's always October of 1984. Goose Gossage is on the mound, and Kirk Gibson is coming to the plate. For UPN 50 and for the Tiger tradition, I'm Ray Lake.
Ask for a better afternoon to say goodbye to Tiger Stadium. I'm Tim Swore along with David Scott. We're about to play baseball one final time here at Michigan.
You may notice a little something different in this final game. There are no names in the backs of the uniforms, and they're wearing different numbers today. For example, Kareem Garcia in right field is going to wear the K-line number 6. And so on. Davy Cruz at short, well, Alan Trammell's number 3, etc. Now, in center field, Gabe Kapler will have no number at all, and that's because he's going to represent Ty Cobb, and when Ty Cobb played, they didn't wear numbers.
That's a great trivia question to ask somebody. You say, hey, what number did Ty Cobb wear? And they're always trying to figure it out. You say, he didn't wear a number.
Well, and that's why Ruth wore 3 and Gehrig wore 4. They originally gave them numbers to correspond with their position in the batting order.
Right, and then things changed, and now everybody wants the number of their hero, and that's kind of the way it goes, and we'll see that example of it right here at Tiger Stadium.
We want to remind you that there'll be a wonderful post-game ceremony for about an hour afterwards. You don't want to miss that. We'll have about 60 to 70 old-time Tigers coming on out, a ceremony involving home plate being transferred to the new Comerica Park. And we're waiting now for the first pitch with a couple of old-timers, as a matter of fact, who will handle that.
Yes, and along with the other ceremonies going on, as you mentioned, we've got the former Tigers that are all going to be here ready to go, and I think we've got the first pitch just about ready to take off here.
All right, you see there Eldon Auker, a former pitcher with Detroit, and shortstop Billy Rogel, who was shortstop with the Tigers many years ago and then went on to serve as Detroit City Councilman for dozens of years. And they are 2 of the older surviving Tigers, and they are being driven out to the center of the field where they'll throw the honorary first pitches for us today.
Yeah, they are the 2 oldest Tigers that are here today for this terrific ceremony. And as we said, pre-game stuff going on, and then we'll have plenty in the post-game.
And this is a who's who. We've got the governor, the mayor, the commissioner of baseball. We've got movie stars like Tom Selleck, Kevin Costner here. Tom Wopat is here today. Quite a turnout. And one fellow who didn't make it here today, we want to send him the very best, Bob Talbert, longtime columnist with the Free Press, who's had season tickets here for 25, 30 years. Bob's recovering from surgery at Beaumont Hospital. And Bob, if you're watching, we wish you the very best and wish you were here today.
I bet he's watching right now, David.
Hope so.
And we're going to watch the ceremonial first pitch for the final time at Tigers.
Look at all the players with the cameras and video cams that they've got, and they've been doing this for the past hour. They've been out on the field. Usually it's fans coming and taking pictures of players. It's been a two-way street today.
And many of them came early, not to get a workout in today, but to get those final pictures, to wander around. Because remember that their season's over as far as the home season goes as well today.
Brad Ausmus normally would be wearing number 10. He's wearing 11, of course, representing Bill Freehan, voted as part of the all-time Tiger great team. And he receives the pitch. They were open at 5 o'clock this morning here to get media involved. Nightlines come in. Several of the networks are here today, and this is quite the show.
It is more than just a Detroit or a Michigan thing. It is certainly a national program and a national event around the country. ESPN Radio doing the game on radio as well.
Gordie Howe's in the stands today. When you get Gordie Howe and Al Kaline in the same place, I don't know if Stevie Eiserman is here. That would just about make the trifecta.
Yeah, it certainly would, as far as great heroes of Detroit sports go. And I wouldn't be surprised if Stevie could sneak out here.
There you see Billy Rogel and Eldon Auker throwing out the official first pitches. We're just moments away from the game, and then, of course, a splendid post-game celebration coming up. So roll those VCRs. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the game call. We've had a weekend of great memories here at Tiger Stadium, turning the page on history with George Kell, with Al Kaline, and today with a full house for game number 6,873. One last blast at the place we lovingly call the corner.
Again, everybody. I'm George Kell, along with Ray Lane, Frank Beckman, and our hero Al Kaline. We're just about ready for the final game of the season here at Old Tiger Stadium.
Hey, you betcha, George. A place that's given all of us so many great memories. And Ray Lane, we've enjoyed a great weekend, which is capped off today on Monday with the final game ever here.
Third game, of course. They win the second game. They win the third game. And more than a fourth game, of course. This is the end of an era, but the Tigers showing some power over the weekend. And yesterday's game, the Green Taters, and that chalked up to their second straight win. And hey, they're in third place.
And George Kell giving us some real hope for the future, especially when you see a Dean Palmer, a Davy Cruz, and a Gabe Kapler go deep like that.
I do see hope for the future. I watch nearly every game at home in Arkansas on DirecTV. And I've said all year long, I saw Randy Smith during the All-Star game. And he said, we've got some good ball players. They're just not playing good right now. But I think they're going to play good. I really do. Moving downtown is going to make all the difference in the world. People are going to come. The town's going to be revitalized. There's just something about a new ballpark and a new situation. And this ball club is just about ready to take off.
Well, as we move into a new ballpark and look to the future with young players, we also look to the future with a man who is ageless for all of us, number 6, Al Kaline, who right now is downstairs at the Tigers dugout. Al, what a marvelous speech you gave earlier.
Well, thank you very much. Hello, George. Hello, Ray. Frank, it's great to be through with the opening day speech. I was telling everybody down here I was more nervous doing that than the 5th game of the World Series, where if we lost, we'd have been eliminated. But I'm glad it's over with. Hopefully it worked out okay.
Well, Al's got some final duties, meeting up with another Hall of Famer in George Brett at home plate as they exchange lineup cards, and then Al will be joining us in the booth, and we'll see Brian Moeller with the honor of the final start ever at Tiger Stadium against a youngster from Kansas City by the name of Jeff Suppan, who once pitched at venerable Fenway Park for the Red Sox. All of the action from the final game at Tiger Stadium coming your way next, only here on UPN 50. Now we're 1-2. Just outside. It's the second time that Brett has taken out the lineup card for a final game at a stadium. The other time, was back in 1993 at the old Texas Stadium when he brought out the lineup card for the visiting Royals in the last game there. And
Against
the Rangers
Nolan Ryan.
lineup card was brought out by Nolan Ryan.
It had to be Nolan Ryan.
And of course, the two of them went into the Hall of Fame together this year.
Yeah, great speeches. I was there. They were great speeches.
2-2 the count on Ray Sanchez. Another breaking ball, and Sanchez serves it out into center field for the game's first hit. Well, every baseball that is used in the game for a hit today will be taken out of play. There is Ryan Schmeichel, the son of Tigers clubhouse man Jim Schmeichel, who will be keeping tabs of all the baseballs that were used for hits today. He's almost like an evidence technician down there. He'll be charting every one. Ray Sanchez collects the first hit of this final game at Tiger Stadium. Everyone wondering who'll get the last one. Carlos Beltran, the odds-on favorite to become Rookie of the Year in the American League, takes strike one. Beltran, a switch-hitting outfielder from Puerto Rico, who was just a .221 hitter in the minor leagues until last year when he exploded. He slices one into left, and that'll drop in front of Polonia for a base hit. So the Royals with back-to-back singles against Brian Moeller with one out in the first. That'll bring up their cleanup man, Jermaine Dye, and it'll give us a chance to welcome up to the booth our Hall of Famer and the man who brought the Tigers lineup card to home plate today, none other than number 6, Al Kaline.
Hello, guys. George.
And a great speech.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
speech.
It's great to be up here with you one more time, my man. Not a very good start for the Tigers, is it?
No, but
you know what? And they all want to play this game so well today. In fact, they all said, boy, we wish yesterday's game could be this one.
It was a perfect game, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Well, Brian Moeller, you know, he's got the butterflies going today. In that last start against Cleveland, when he was roughed up, he was working on 6 days rest. And his pitching coach, Dan Worthen, said that's the reason he got roughed up. He had too much rest. He was too strong.
Well, he's certainly the type pitcher that, as you well know, Frank, that he has to keep the ball down and sink the ball in on the right-handers. And when you don't pitch for a while, your arm is real strong, and you throw the ball a little bit harder than you should and straight.
Check swing foul by Dye, and the count even at 1-1 on Jermaine.
George, we used to face a guy named Bob Lemon was that way.
Yes.
Boy,
yes.
You had to get him early because when he got tired, he had a real good sinker, and he was a little bit strong in the early innings, and his ball was a little straighter.
When he was tired, his ball moved
right.
a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
A lot better. It moved good all the time.
Oh yeah, he was. Everybody always asks me who are the toughest pitchers I face, and Bob Lemon is always the first one out of my mouth.
We need to send our best to him too. He just had a stroke about 3 months ago, and he's not doing well at all.
Boy, it turned out to be a great day, hadn't it, Guy? You know, all the worries about rain, and so far it's great.
A great weekend.
Yes, it has
4
been.
days. You couldn't order 4 days like this.
Full house every day, capped off by this sellout this afternoon. But a great way to say goodbye to an old friend.
Yes, it is.
All 3 and strike 1 to Jermaine Dye.
And George, the only thing is there's a couple real light clouds, and you can't say there's not a cloud in the sky.
Very few. Just a couple up there. But that helps. That helps tremendously.
Yeah, it does for the high fly balls.
And there are some folks who didn't pay for those tickets up there, hovering above.
Yeah, they're all going to get that last shot of a full house here at Tiger Stadium.
Ball 4, and the bases are loaded with Royals here in the opening inning. They're threatening to spoil the party a little bit early. And Brian Moeller could be pressing a little bit, guys. He's wearing Jack Morris's number. He's a guy who really appreciates the history of baseball. A guy who the other night went up on top of the scoreboard in center field with his movie camera to take pictures of Tiger Stadium and the skyline of Detroit.
I thought I'd been every place, but you know what? I have not been up there. Not on the top.
Have you been on the roof?
Oh, I've been on the roof. Yeah, I've been on the roof, but I've never been up underneath the scoreboard.
Yeah, he was up on top of it up there, Brian was.
A little bit low to Sweeney, ball one, and that's going to bring Bryan a trip to the mound from catcher Brad Ausmus.
Now he's pressing a little bit. He's got a lot of friends here. He's got a lot of people that he knows from past experience. He wants to pitch well before them and this large crowd in the last game at the stadium.
Well, you saw Ausmus out there wearing number 11. That's the number of Bill Freehand from the Tigers all-time team. Tigers all-time starting right-handed pitcher was Jack Morris, number 47, and Dan Worthen, the pitching coach, is not wearing a number, and that's because he's representing Huey Jennings, the ex-Tiger manager who didn't wear a number. Ty Cobb didn't wear one either, and that's why Gabe Kapler in center field is not wearing one today, and Gabe said he considers it a great honor. You notice on the back of Gabe's cap, the number 34. And that's another story. Just inside to Sweeney, 2-0.
This kid's a good-looking hitter right here.
Very quiet, having one of the best years, but you hear nothing about him, George, because he plays in Kansas City.
I know it.
Small market. They don't get on national television very much, but 323 and 22 home runs.
And 101 runs batted in. 3 straight hitters in this lineup with over 100 RBIs, Beltran, Dye, and Sweeney. There's a strike at the knees.
You know,
2-1.
he reminds you a lot of Kapler. Looks a lot like him.
Well,
great shape.
Kapler in center field. And you see the number 34 on the back of the cap, and that's for Juan Encarnacion, who was hit in the face by that pitch from Blake Stein yesterday, and this afternoon was undergoing surgery at Ford Hospital for that broken cheekbone.
Yeah, he was hoping to get here, but they decided they're going to keep him overnight, and rightfully so. They're going to have to put a plate in his cheek.
Here's what happened yesterday.
Right there. Yeah.
And it hit him square in the face. And
well, Juan is a guy that gets hit a lot, as you know. He had a broken hand
2 years ago.
2 years ago, and he just has not learned how to turn his back to the ball and take it on the shoulder or the back of the head. And
change up just a little bit low. Full count on Sweeney. Juan Encarnacion had a very solid season for his first full year in the majors.
Yep. Got a lot of ability, a lot of tools. He runs well, throws well, gets a little lax in the outfield on occasion, but not very often. And he's going to be a very positive offensive player, too.
Saw Luis Polonia wearing the 34 on the wristband. Sweeney strikes out on a good single. A big strikeout for Moeller. One that would have made Jack Morris proud in a bases-loaded one-out jam, Ray Lane.
Frank, you're talking about Jack Morris, of course, as we take another pitch and take a look at that pitch for a strikeout. Brian Moeller with that 9-16 record, first Tiger pitcher since Jack Morris to lose more than 15 games. Back in 1990, Jack did that, but keep in mind, he wants to do again what he can, and that last batter do the same thing. He can come right back here.
Brian,
tough customer here.
Oh, you bet he does. In Joe Randa, the ex-Tiger, who's had a sensational year. And he lines one right to the second baseman easily.
That's what we want.
And Brian Moeller works out of that bases-loaded one-out jam by retiring Sweeney on strikes, Randa on the liner. And the Tigers fans who are unlucky enough not to be able to come in enjoy that first half inning here in the finale at the corner. Works out of a first inning jam, keeps the Royals off the board, and let's see if the Tigers can get something going in their first inning against Jeff Suppan. Luis Polonia, Brad Ausmus, and Tony Clark at the top of the order. Then Palmer, Easley, and Garcia. Kapler, Robert Fitt getting a start in the final game as the DH, wearing Norm Cash's number 25, and Davey Cruz, who's had a great year, and wearing Alan Trammell's number 3. Jeff Suppan, the starter for Kansas City today. And it's rather ironic this young man would get the start. He's 24-year-old out of Oklahoma City, whose first big league game was as a reliever on opening day in '96 for the Red Sox at Fenway Park, which of course opened the same day as Tiger Stadium. Defensively, the Royals with Sweeney, Fablis, Sanchez, and Randa around the infield. Beltran, the sensation, in center field, flanked by Quinn and Dye. Ex-Tiger Chad Kruger behind the plate. And Suppan on the hill facing Polonia.
Chad is really excited that he's getting a chance to play in this game. He hadn't played in a while, but he's very excited about playing here the last day of Tiger Stadium. Of course, as you mentioned, Tad, a former Detroit Tiger who had really a good year and went on to sign a long-term contract with, I think it was Chicago.
He was with Chicago, had that horrible injury in Chicago in a collision at home plate.
Yeah, he can't walk through those sensors at the airport
No,
anymore.
he
He
can't.
has to carry something with him because he has so much steel in his legs, knees.
Well, a lot of special things at Tiger Stadium today. Players wearing the numbers of the all-time Tiger team. Luis Polonia wearing Kirk Gibson's number 23.
And Willie Horton's.
And Willie Horton, you're right. Tapper foul behind the plate.
He's not quite as big as either one of those guys.
Well, the Tigers also wearing special caps commemorating this final game at Tiger Stadium. You can't see it under the helmet there. And we'll get a good look at that as the afternoon goes along. There's Greg Jeffries. There's a fly ball lifted out toward deep center field. Beltran back. And there she goes over the 415-foot mark. How do you like that? Well, he may not look like Kirk Gibson or Willie Horton, but he starts the ball game, Al, just like one of them might, with number 23 on his back.
Oh, he really did, and that ball really got out of here way over the 415 mark. I know Gibson and Willie could hit him really far, but they didn't hit him much further that straight away. It's a heck of a way to start off the top of the first inning for the Tigers.
Gotta love it. Fakes the bunt like he's going to put one down. Gets back in there a couple of pitches later. Goes with power.
Luis Polonia with his 8th home run to put the Tigers on top. And here's Brad Ausmus.
You used to hit him like that, didn't you, George?
From second base, I did. when I stood at second base.
Luis Polonia had never hit more than 4 home runs in a season in his career. He's doubled that this year with the Tigers. He's got 8.
Hey, it's a new game today. It's a home run game today.
That was another Coca-Cola home run, sending $50 and a case of Coke to the Police Athletic League of Detroit. Compliments of Coca-Cola. Willie and Kirk are proud of that one, I'll guarantee you. Ausmus laces one out toward left, and that's going to drop in front of Quinn for a base hit. So the Tigers come out swinging the bats in the final game ever at Tiger Stadium. Well, wouldn't that be something if that was the only home run today, and the last home run hit in Tiger Stadium were by Luis Polonia?
That would be a remarkable feat, although the way the wind's blowing out to left field, I would imagine that we might see a few more here before this game's over with.
You see Lewis right there talking about, see that number? That gives me power. That gives me power.
That's right.
Yeah.
He may never give that number back to Gabe Kapler.
I think Gabe could take it away if he wanted to.
He'll wrestle him for it. Tony Clark wearing the number of the legendary Hank Greenberg, old number 5. Another fellow that you played with, Al, wore number 5, Jim Northrup.
Oh, that's the great Fox, absolutely.
George Kell, Hank Greenberg, one of the great sluggers.
Yeah, I played with Hank 1 year. It was one of the great thrills of my life. He was my idol. Honest to God, he was my idol.
And a gentleman himself, too.
A gentleman, if there ever was a gentleman in the game.
You know, Hank Greenberg, from all of the stories we hear, carried a great burden himself because he was the first Jewish player, and he represented his people very well. Tony Clark hits it to Sanchez at short, and that'll turn into a 6-3 double play. 2 gone, and it'll bring up Dean Palmer wearing number 21. And Ray Lane, that one belonged to somebody very special as well.
Well, I'll tell you right here, George Kell told me, he said the best baseball fight that he had ever seen involved Hank Greenberg, but it was in his own dugout, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was a terrible fight. And Hank Greenberg was such a calm gentleman that you would never expect it.
And Dizzy Trout had said something to him, right?
Well, the bases were loaded, and the ground ball was hit toward first base, and it got by Greenberg for a base hit, and 2 runs scored. And when we came in at the end of the inning, Trout said something to him, if you can't catch him any better than that, let someone else out there.
Oh, yeah, that'll get to you a little bit.
And that started it, and I'm telling you, Steve O'Neill jumped in between them, and Roger Kramer. I took off for center field. All the little guys left.
That home run by Luis Polonia, by the way, traveled 435 feet. Off-speed pitch. It hung up there, but Palmer couldn't find it. Well, George, as we get one more look at Polonia, still enjoying that home run. When you look down at a Dean Palmer now, wearing your old number 21, what do you feel?
Well, I have a lot of memories here, honest to goodness. Third base here was such a special place to play because you were close to the fans. The fans would talk to you, and they were with you. They were with me, and they would talk to me as they would with Al in right field out there. And that's what made this a very special ballpark. You were so close. Some of the parks, Oakland Ballpark, even the White Sox ballpark today, you're so far away from the fans, you can't understand what they're saying to you.
The payoff pitch to Palmer, and that's fouled back.
That's what we don't want to happen on this last day. We've been let me knock on your head here, Frank. We have not had one come too close to us.
Well, we do have a baseball up here, Al, but it's one of the balls that they're using today before they rubbed it up. And it's a regular baseball except for the one stamp that says Tiger Stadium final game. And it's got the date on it, and these are the balls that are being used today in the game and being collected as they are used and put into play, commemorating base hits and the like. Dean Palmer draws a 2-out walk, and that'll bring up Damian Easley, who today is wearing the number of the man voted by the fans, the Tigers' all-time second baseman, your good friend, Al, the late Charlie Gehringer.
Well, he talked about Hank Greenberg being one of the greatest people in the world, and Charlie Gehringer, they had to be 1-2 either way, because he was certainly one of the finest gentlemen you'd ever want to meet. Is that right, George Kell?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Both of them.
Yep.
Both of them.
Inside corner for strike one.
Charlie Gehringer said they said I didn't say anything, and he said at breakfast the first morning I was there in spring training, someone said, "Would you pass me the sugar?" I said I would be glad to, and he did. He said that was my remarks.
Good fastball from Suppan, 0-2 to Easley.
After their playing days, Hank was a pretty good tennis player, wasn't he? And Charlie loved golf.
Yes, in fact, I played golf with Charlie a few times, and he didn't talk very much. The only thing he used to say was, "You're away."
Yeah.
Didn't Charlie shoot his age?
Yes, I think
when he was
did.
in his 80s.
Yeah, he loved to play the game of golf.
And he had that smooth swing that we see from number 6 as well on the golf course.
Well,
you know he did.
Tigers had some great gentlemen to go along with great players, and he's certainly one of them. One of the very, very best.
Easley does not climb the ladder with Suppan there. It's 1 and 2. And they still have the Gehringer Golf Classic out at Cadby Cousins to benefit Meadowbrook Hall. Now there's a familiar number on deck.
Yeah, turn around.
He's just batting the wrong way, left hand. There goes Palmer. And Critter nails him with the throw to the second baseman, Fables. So Palmer caught stealing to end the Tigers first, but they get a run on Polonia's leadoff homer. You'll find no tears around here right now. The Tigers are on top, 1-0 after 1.
Tim Swore back here at Tiger Stadium, and before we go back upstairs, there have now been 11,110 home runs hit at Tiger Stadium. Guys, the man with the most hit here at the corner, Al Kaline, 226.
One more homer, and there'll be all ones in that number of homers hit in this ballpark.
There will be another one before this game's over. I hope it's by our team.
1-0 on Luis Polonia's leadoff home run in inning number 1. Well, Al Kaline, you haven't come alone today. On your cap, you've brought a lot of memories and a lot of people to be remembered.
Yes, as we take a look at the pitch, I have 2 initials on the front of my hat. Jim Campbell,
right.
George Kell, very good friend, my good friend, and Norm Cash. And then on the beak, I got all of the deceased members of the 1968 Tiger Ball Club. I wanted them to be on the field with me.
Well, that's a nice touch, Al Kaline. And they'll be with all of us today. That 68 team, which you were such a key element, your only championship that brought us so many thrills.
That was a great win over a tough ball club. Here's one well hit. That's out of here.
Well, now it's all ones on the home run board. There she goes into the upper deck. And Mark Quinn ties the game at 1 with his 6th home run.
This kid has been some kind of special since he's been brought up. He hasn't been up to the bat too many games. Somebody threw it back on the field, man. I think I'd have kept that as some kind of a souvenir, but the last game, he said, I don't want any part of the opposing team baseball. But this kid looks like he's for real. I know I talked to a couple of the coaches before the game, the day before yesterday, and they really like him a lot.
Playing only his 16th game since he got called up, and boy, that is a pretty good slugging average for him.
6th home run as he got a hanger and took advantage of the mistake by Brian Moeller. Jeremy Giambi, the batter, the brother of Jason Giambi of the Oakland A's. Moeller misses inside, 1-1. And I'm sure in the back of Brian's mind, he was thinking, shut out, shut out, shut out.
Well, it's pretty tough to shut anybody out in this ballpark.
Especially on a day like this. It's like a July afternoon. The temperature right around 90 degrees and the wind blowing out.
Now, the ball's carrying very well here today. It reminds you of California on a Sunday afternoon. It doesn't carry that well at night, but Sunday afternoon in California carries extremely well.
This one's lifted to right in foul ground, and Garcia cannot get to it. When we saw that last look of Brian Moeller on the hill, you could see that cap the Tigers are wearing with the final game insignia on the side of it. And on the left side of his cap, Juan Encarnacion's number on the right side. Just missed.
You know what they're going to have to do, fellas? They're going to have to raise the mound 5-6 inches. Otherwise, it's going to become a home run hitting contest every game.
What about the strike zone, George?
Well, the strike zone's got to be called. You've got to call strikes.
Would you move it up a little bit?
Yes, I would. I would move it up and in and out. Anything that's close on the corner would be strikes. I'd make everybody hit like Yogi Berra.
Rocky Rose, the man calling those balls and strikes today, and it's an honor for Rocky, too. He's a native Detroiter, went to Eastern Michigan, played on the sandlots in Detroit as a ball player.
There has been some talk, George, about possibly raising the mound back to where it was to give the pitchers a little bit of a chance. Now, you know, the way the home runs are flying out, it's really, if you only hit 30 home runs now, that's really not a big deal.
No, that's not a big deal.
It used to be.
They're going to do it. It's going to be done.
Well, Al, it was that great '68 season by the man you faced in the World Series, Bob Gibson, that really wound up leading baseball to lower the mound.
And he was dominating. Of course, Denny McLain that year also.
Denny won 31 games. The payoff pitch to Giambi, and he got him swinging. And Ray Lane, you were there for all of that '68 season, and that was really the last year that the pitchers had the best of it.
Did, and they, when you talk about Denny, as we take another look at here on this pitch, and that ball running away, that time the left-handed hitter looked a little bit like a Denny McLain pitch, moving away, and a high fastball that he used. He and Lolich both had that good fastball over the seams. It would rise, and when across the seams, it would sink. And that pitch reminded me of Denny there.
Well, Ray, you also saw Jim Palmer through good fortune of his career, and that's another fellow who worked up in the strike zone quite a lot, wasn't he? You wonder if those guys could have pitched today.
Hard one, and he had help. Al would know this one better than I did, but I thought that high mound would help him too, didn't he?
I talked to Jim Palmer. He said he couldn't pitch today because he said if I kept the ball down low, my ball would not move. It would be really good to hit. He had that little hop on his fastball, and just above the strike zone, it was really hard to hit. Chad Kreuter getting a chance to bat right here for Kansas City.
Well, there have been some glorious moments here. We've talked about '68 here, where Mickey Lolich was the MVP and Al Kaline had the clutch hit in Game 5. Tigers also winning it back in 35, 45 when John McHale Sr. was on the team. And of course in '84 when current coaches Lance Parrish and Alan Trammell starred for the Tigers. Ryan Moeller gave up a home run to Mark Quinn leading off this second. That's evened the game. Gruder lifts one in the air. Playable for Kapler.
Look at that ball carry.
Yep. That one wasn't hit very well.
No, you can see you get it up high where that wind can take a hold of it. And we might, well, I hope not, but we might see one up on the roof here before the day's over with.
Well,
that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
That would be a dream finish for Tiger Stadium, wouldn't it?
Really would. You know, Frank, just sitting here, here's a couple of my heroes. I was a Tiger fan, and I'm not saying it because he's sitting in the booth. A native Detroiter, George Kell, was my favorite player. He was traded to Boston. I said, okay, I can't be a Tiger fan. They got rid of Kellen Evers. The K-line came along, and I was in the service, and Al became my favorite player. And to me, I'm having the ball sitting up here next to it and just saying, oh, boy, I can't believe this. I wish my dad was up here right now. You know?
George, you think he's looking for a little tip here with all this compliment, huh?
Well, I worked with him. We had a great time. We had a great time.
1-1 on Fables, the leadoff man who had no sense of history whatsoever, swinging at the first pitch.
I reminded George, he helped me out in Minnesota one morning. They played morning baseball out there once the college football season started.
In the sleet.
Yes.
Cruz, long throw from the hole, can't get it. Fables has an infield single.
Yeah, we played that morning game up in Minneapolis. We always pitched Dave Wickersham because Norm Cash said he'd be the only one in and got his rest that night.
Well, there might have been an announcer, too, because I thought Killebrew hit one out one day, and that morning, and the wind was blowing in, but not that much. I thought it was out, and all of a sudden I said, oh, I think Euler made the catch it short. And I'd already called it was going to be out of there, and George says, well, I thought it was going to be out too, Ray. And the wind is blowing in. I said, George, thanks for covering for me. He says, that's why I'm here.
Ray Sanchez takes on the outside corner for a called strike.
That was the coldest ballpark in America.
I thought so, too.
Old Met Stadium in Minneapolis. There was nothing to knock the wind down. It was always blowing coming in off the prairie up there. In the fall of the year, it was cold. Terribly cold.
2 strikes on Sanchez. And that field was very hard, too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was a great right-hand hitter's ballpark. The left field fence it was only about 330, but it seemed like the wind would carry out the left field.
Well, I know one thing. No matter how you try to talk about how cold it was, how hard the field was, it's better than the Metrodome.
Oh, yeah.
And not nearly as nice as this place. There goes the runner, Fables. The pitch lifted in the air to right, and Garcia lost it for a moment, but recovers and makes a K-line-like running grab. Al might have gotten there a little bit quicker, but he got the job done just as well. The Royals tie it on the Quinn homer. It's 1-1 going to the bottom of inning number 2. Left to order your commemorative brick to be placed at the main entrance to Comerica Park. All orders must be in by September 30th to guarantee your spot on the Walk of Fame. To order your personalized brick, call 313-96-BRICK. Damian Easley was at the plate when Dean Palmer was caught stealing to end the first inning. And he takes down low. Easley, Garcia, and Kapler. Gehringer, K-line, and Cobb by the numbers they are wearing today. 1-1 on Damian.
Damian, for the last, month or so, swinging a lot more bad pitches than he used to. Seems like that breaking ball, he's just...
Well, they're not throwing him any fastballs.
No, he's flying open with that shoulder and fishing for that breaking ball away.
He pulls this one to third, a bad hop. Off the glove of Joe Randa down toward the corner, and Easley will motor into second.
That's what happens when they throw him a fastball.
That's why they don't throw him too many, George. And
Damian's got his 30th double of the year, and Joe Randa's just happy that this one didn't hurt him.
Yeah, this was a bad hop. He came up just out of the reach, and Joe was an excellent fielding third baseman. Okay, number 6, you got to pull the ball now. Get the guy over.
It sounds strange hearing you say, come on, number 6. Karim Garcia, who was a switch hitter when he played in Mexico, Al, many, many years ago as an amateur.
Would I have loved to have been a left-handed hitter?
In this park, especially.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Left-handed hitter, there wasn't that many left-handed pitching, boy.
In any ballpark.
In any ballpark.
Baseball is made for left-handers.
Oh, I mean,
pitchers, hitters.
We figured there was only 12 left-handed starters in the American League.
Yeah. Baseball is made for left-handers.
How many quality ones?
Oh, that's what I mean. And boy, left-handers have a definite advantage. Good job.
Old number 6 got the job.
Good job.
He moves the runner easily to third with 1 out. Kareem Garcia doing the job that Al Kaline wanted number 6 to do.
And Ty Cobb's coming up next.
And you know what Ty Cobb would do in this spot with a runner at third and 1 out? He'd get the run in.
Well,
he got a bunch of them in.
He got a bunch of them in. You know, nobody does it all the time that you want to, but certainly he did it an awful lot of times.
George Kell, you had one of the great stories that I have heard in all of the reminiscences about Tiger Stadium, and I think you shared it last night at the dinner with all the ex-Tigers who have gathered here in Detroit about Ty Cobb's son, Joe.
I had never heard that one either, George. All the years we were together, that was outstanding.
Yeah, well, hey, the story was not finished until it was all over, and I'm standing out in the crowd, and this lady walked up to me, a beautiful young lady, maybe 30 years old. She said, Jim Cobb was my father.
Wow.
And he died 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I said, I knew something had happened to Jim Cobb because, you know, he was always around.
Well,
He was always around.
Our viewers haven't heard the story yet, though. Would you share it with us?
Yeah, he asked me at Cooperstown one year if I would bring him out to Tiger Stadium to the outfield.
This is Ty Cobb's youngest son.
Cobb, yeah, his youngest son. He said, my father left home when I was 3 years old. I never really knew him, never got to see him play ball, and I'd like to go to Tiger Stadium and see where he played. I took him out in right field. He kicked the dirt and walked and looked around. We went over to center field, and he walked over there. And finally, I thought, we got to go. I went over there to get him, and he was standing there crying, tears running down. And I began to cry. I really did. And it was a very emotional moment. And then for his daughter last night to walk up to me, and she said, that was my father you were talking about. And he died 2 years ago.
Isn't that what a
beautiful lady she was, too. And I said, well, I knew something had happened to Jim Cobb because I would hear from him. I'd see him places.
Infield in against Gabe Kapler on 0-2 with 1 out. The tie-breaking run at third. And Ty Cobb, one of the all-time greats in Major League history, and the first man ever to go into the Hall of Fame. Suppan misses inside. Cobb was the one who had the field watered down in front of home plate so he could lay down those bunts that would stop out there in what they called Lake Cobb. And then later, when he managed the Tigers, and there were no permanent bleachers yet, he would have temporary bleachers installed in the outfield when slugging teams came in. And the reason for that was simple, because if a ball was hit into a grandstand area like that, it was considered a ground rule double and couldn't get by the outfielders for a home run.
Yeah.
So he was always looking for an edge.
He didn't need much of an edge.
You see that?
What did he hit 403 times?
This is foul.
Hey, George, third base. You got a guy that's got great power. You're playing third base. Infield's moved in. You're playing even with the bag, and you got a guy that's not overly quick pitching. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm not going to play in. I'm going to play about where Randy is, a step or 2 or 3 back, because he hits the ball hard, and if he hits a shot at you, you can still make the play at the plate.
Sometimes you say pitch him outside, huh?
Well, you hope he does pitch outside.
Full count now on Gabe Kapler, and the payoff pitch is low, and the Tigers have runners at the corners with just 1 out. And that'll bring up the man representing Norm Cash today, the DH, Robert Fick.
I was talking to him in the dugout before I came up here, right before I took the lineup card. I said, Bobby, Robert, because he likes to be called Robert, not Bobby. I said, Robert, hit yourself a home run. This is part of history now, and you're wearing one of the better home run hitters in his era, Tiger, that's Norm Cash. And he says, I like this number. I said, well, And I also told him, I says, you know what? I wore that number my first year, number 25, before I got number 6.
Now, that's something a lot of fans probably don't know. That'll be the answer to a trivia question now,
I
Albert.
didn't know that either.
Yeah, it was just a brief time. It was before, you know, when Mullen took off, and he gave me his number 6.
He gave his number.
Mark Wiley, the Royals pitching coach at the mound, joined now by Rocky Rowe.
I told him he was going to hit a home run today, so let's see how psychic I am.
I asked Sparky Anderson one time what number he wore. He played 1 year in the major leagues with the Phillies. He said, I wore number 64. And he said, George, that tells you something.
Yeah.
You're not going to be around long when you wear number 64.
It was great listening to WJR having Sparky Anderson on, and your question, I was about going to go into the Hall of Fame in a couple of years. Which team are you going to go in? It was very non-committal, and
you get the feeling he's going to be a Red, don't
us
you?
fans, and I'm certainly going to be one of them. George, we have to call him and tell him we want him in as a Detroit Tiger. He has this great charity here, Catch, and he was such a great guy, and he won more ball games here. We got to get on the phone, and hopefully our fans will somehow write him if they can, or get in touch with him sometime.
You heard me this morning, Al.
Yes.
I begged him.
We have to get him in as a Detroit Tiger. He deserves to be in as a Detroit Tiger.
He became the 3rd winningest manager in history here in Detroit.
Right.
And it would, I think, be a shame if he
I
went
think
in.
he should. I think he should go in. I'm doubting it. I really am. I've talked to him 2 or 3 times. But he should. But when the time comes, he may change his mind.
Well, I've been talking to Trammell, and I got to get a hold of Whitaker, who I just saw. He just pulled in as I was getting ready to put my uniform on, and get him and get Gibson and Jack Morris, everybody to call him and say, hey, we want you to go in. And maybe we can sway him over. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know whether he's committed or not, but hopefully that'll sway him to go in as a Detroit Tiger.
Well,
he's definitely going to go in.
At one time, he did say he was going to go in as a Tiger when he was here. And something made him change his mind, and now we just got to get him back.
I'll tell you, if the late Jim Campbell was around,
there'd be no doubt, would there, Ray?
Exactly right.
Well, that could be one way, George, we can get him. He says, Mr. Campbell, Jim Campbell will be.
He left it in his will.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
You go in as a Tiger.
1-2 on Fick. Runners at the corners, 1 out. And Robert lifts a high fly to right. Dive back near the track. It'll get the run in. And easily heads home with the go-ahead marker. The Tigers on top 2-1. So Robert Fick didn't deliver the home run yet, but he did deliver a run, doing the job, getting that runner in from third out.
He's a very confident young man. Believe me, he thinks he can hit, and he can hit. And we forget that this is pretty much like spring training for him. He missed almost all year long with that shoulder surgery he had. And he's only played maybe 40, 50 games all year long. And he is a good hitter, and he knows he's a good hitter. He's had a lot of confidence in himself.
Did you see what Gabler did?
I like that.
Kepler.
Yep.
Very smart.
I
Very
like
smart
He
play.
went about halfway to second.
Oh, he ran as hard as he could.
He would have been out maybe before the run scored. And that would have been disastrous.
So he stopped and
he
got
stopped.
back to first.
You realize that.
But you never know. Sometimes the outfielder may have thought there was 3 outs.
Well, the ball can get away from the shortstop when it's thrown in.
That's right. A lot of things can happen. The sun's bad out there right now.
Tigers on top by a run in inning number 2 against Jeff Suppan and the Royals. Kepler goes. And he's in there. And thought about going to third. And isn't that appropriate? Wearing no number in honor of Ty Cobb today, Gabe Kepler steals second base.
It was the first legitimate base stealing in all of baseball history, as far as I know. And Gabe Kepler, wearing no number in honor of Ty Cobb, steals a base.
He went in head first, not with the spikes flashing as Cobb used to do.
I don't like going in head first because you can really break your fingers doing that. You see it more and more, and I don't think you really get to the base that much quicker.
You see it more and more at first base now.
Davy Cruz, you see number 34 on the wristbands. Davy never wears wristbands, but today he's wearing Juan Encarnacion's wristbands.
And we want to give Juan our very best.
Slap towards short. Sanchez gets Davy Cruz, and the Tigers are retired, but they go ahead. A leadoff double by Easley. He eventually scores on the fly ball by Robert Fick. And on this memorable day at Tiger Stadium, Detroit is on top.
That we think you should pitch these guys, you know. Of course, we never made any mistakes when we were playing.
What's one big thing you'll take a memory away from Tiger Stadium here?
Just the fans. I really appreciate the fans here at Tiger Stadium. I mean, look at them today. They come out like this for a losing ball club, and just to let this stadium go in the way it should go with all the grace and dignity that it's had over the years.
Earl, you've got your World Series championship ring from '68 on. I imagine that's a big memory for you. Well, guys, I'm going to go find some more grapes. Chet Lemon over to my right. Back to you.
All right, Tim, thanks very much. Al, I would imagine that Earl Wilson would love to be hitting on a day like this.
Well, he was a good hitter. He was a low fastball hitter, and he could really hit the ball a long way. It looks like Milt is like most of us old guys. We've gotten better with age.
Yeah.
And,
We get better.
He's got to be kidding if he thinks he can pitch better than these guys out there. Now, maybe in his prime he might have been able, but right now, give me a break.
Tony Clark can't get it with that dive to his right, and Beltran is aboard with his second hit.
I'll tell you, remember the night in Chicago, and it was about 40 degrees in Chicago at Old Comiskey Park. Milt Wilcox retired 26 batters in a row. They sent a pinch batter in off the bench.
Jerry Hairston.
Jerry Hairston. And I said to Al, or he said to me, there's no way you can walk off the bench in 40 degrees weather and get a good swing at a pitcher. He hit the first pitch on a line drive into center field. A bullet base hit into center field.
Well, in fact, didn't the White Sox send up Jerry Hairston to bat against Jack Morris when he threw his no-hitter?
He pitched a no-hitter
in '84?
I think that is correct.
And his son plays for Baltimore now.
They like him a lot. And, unfortunately, they signed
Grissom. Is it Grissom?
I can't think of
Albert Bell.
No, the second baseman.
The second baseman, Delino DeShields.
Shields to a long-term contract, and they can't dump him.
You can pay him off.
Oh, yeah. Easy for you to say, George.
Few million from the Kell Bank, bro. He'd never miss it.
I would have never signed him.
We're going through the heart of this lineup here, and this is a pretty good offensive ball club. 3 guys, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place hitters, all have 100 runs batted in, and you don't hear anything about them.
You don't even know their names.
Well, Jermaine Dye making a name for himself with that opposite field single. Beltran will have to stop at second base. 2 aboard with nobody out for the Royals in the 3rd.
Beltran.
6 hits already by Kansas City. You wonder when they're going to get the bullpen going. Obviously, O'Brien's not making the pitch when he has to. And these hitters, particularly the right-handers, seem to be going the other way with it.
You talked about Beltran coming into this series, Al, and your candidate for American League Rookie of the Year. And the Tigers have done a pretty good job of keeping him off the base in this series up to today, 0 for 10. Now comes back with a couple of singles.
He's a good-looking hitter. In fact, I have moved this team ahead of the Chicago White Sox with the best young talent. I thought Chicago had some really good-looking players. Oh, my, that just missed my grandson. Woo!
They're smiling down there, Alan. You're scared.
My grandson's in the yellow shirt. There they are right there. That just went right over their head. There's my Colin and Kelsey, and my son with the stripe on. And Marcia. Wow.
Well, we could see the concern on your face, Alan. When they saw you look down, they just waved and smiled. Well, this might be 2. Palmer to Easley around the horn. Tigers. Ryan Moeller trying to play Houdini again, and Dean Palmer at third starts the double play. And George Kell, that had to feel familiar for you.
Oh, that's the greatest feeling in the world, especially to have the ball hit one step to your left, and you know. The momentum. You feel the ball, and you got the momentum going to second base with you.
Well, Dino doesn't have the strongest arm, so he really has to try to get rid of the ball quickly, because you don't want that guy coming down on your second baseman. You want to get the ball to him as fast as you can.
And Damian Easley did a great job of turning that quickly. Joe Randa, who lined out to Easley his first time up to end the first inning with the bases loaded.
Joe Randa, what a story this is. We got him, and and what a great guy. And I don't want to take anything away from him. He is a super guy. He tried so hard. He just could not hit when he was with the Tigers, and you can see what he's doing now, well over 300 with 80 runs batted in.
Well, he came here after 2 straight seasons hitting 300, and as you said, Al, he just couldn't hit last year.
He said he was trying so hard to impress his new teammates. And he's in a great situation now. He makes his home in Kansas City. He's back home, and obviously very happy about being there.
And hitting 300 once again. The third time in 4 years he's done it. This is a little flare that's going to drop in to tie the ball game. Joe Randa comes through his 81st RBI of the year. It's 2-2 here in the third.
I believe his 194th hit. And so he's 6 away from that 200 hit level, and would become, I think, only the 4th Royal in the history of the franchise to get 200 hits or more. So it is a banner year for him.
That's not a bad number, 200. Ted Williams never got 200. Somebody told me that last night.
Well, he walked so much.
I guess that's right. Never had 200 hits in a season.
Watch the batting stance of this guy's style. Watch how he bails out. But he's so strong with his upper body, and he keeps his shoulders closed. But he bails at the plate, but he keeps those shoulders in there, and he obviously likes the ball out over the plate. Boy, he looks like a good-looking hitter. They say he's not a good outfielder. I haven't seen that much of him, but they have to like what they've seen with the bat already.
6 home runs, including that one leading off the second inning. This is tapped foul at the plate.
Might be the designated hitter.
6 home runs in 45 at-bats. That's not too shabby.
That's just baseball's going to do something about the designated hitter. I don't know whether they're going to eliminate it entirely or.
George, all depends what the Players Association. They are not going to eliminate it. And my feeling is the only way they would eliminate it, they have to grandfather it out naturally, because a lot of teams have DHs under long-term contracts, and maybe expand the rosters another two players to compensate for losing some DHs.
I think expansion will be the way they'll do it. They're going to have to give in some way, grandfather it and expand.
I'd like to see him go back the other way.
I would too.
I'd like to see the athletes, see what kind of athletes the pitchers are, make them go to the plate. It'll stop a lot of the fights, knocking hitters down, because the pitchers in the American League do not go to the plate.
Not have to hit. Makes better ball players out of them.
Overall strategy too, right?
Oh yeah, there's really be very honest with you. There's not a lot of strategy in the American League, because you'd never have to take your pitcher out unless he's just getting hammered, because you never have to pinch hit for him. And really, managing in the American all happy.
Tony Muser knows that, and he was in the National League as the hitting coach for the Chicago Cubs before he came over to Kansas City.
Well, wasn't he with Milwaukee too, and had a terrible accident in spring training where the boiler exploded?
The boiler. He's been ready to manage for several years now.
Good stop by Brad Ausmus. Full count on Quinn, and Randa will be able to take off with 2 gone here in the third.
Being very careful with this guy. I really haven't found out how you pitch him yet. You would think the way he strides that you pitch him outside, but that's the ball he's been hitting out on the plate. I haven't seen that ball hard inside yet. takes a good swing. He doesn't get
Find
cheated.
out right here if they want to jam him or not.
He fouls it back.
Well, look to the outside with it. He had a good cut at it.
Oh, I have not seen him take a bad cut yet. Did they say what he was doing down in where was it, Wichita?
Omaha, wasn't
Omaha.
it? Yeah,
Okay.
Omaha. Well, the last 4 years in the minors, he's averaged .319, so he's always hit down on the minor league level.
At every level, Frank.
The payoff pitch with Randa going. You walk. Brian Mueller throwing a lot of pitches. That's the second walk he's issued, along with 7 base hits. Nelson Cruz has been throwing in the bullpen. And here comes Dan Warthen, the Tigers pitching coach, one more time. Well, in the first inning, Mueller got a big strikeout with the bases loaded, 1 gone. He faced Mike Sweeney and got him on a good sinker. Inning number 2, Giambi goes down swinging after Quinn's home run. But other than that, Mueller has struggled in this ball game.
Not hitting a location like he would like, and what I've noticed, he's not able to get his changeup over the plate. And that's the pitch that will make his fastball a little bit better. He is unable to get the changeup over the plate. He has a real good changeup.
Yesterday, David Borkowski had the game of his life, didn't he, Al?
Oh, yeah, I want to congratulate him. And, it has to be a real thrill for him to get his first win as a starting pitcher.
And to do it in his last start ever at the place that he came as a kid from Sterling Heights so often to watch the Tigers play, David Borkowski. Maybe pinching himself a little bit. It's been a great run for the youngster, being in the big leagues for the first time. 1-1 the count on Giambi. He's an emotional sort, Ray, like some of those 68 Tigers you were with, like Willie Horton, who was such an emotional guy.
And still is. He was talking about the stadium and when it closes today and whether he could stop from crying.
Tony Clark from his backside throws out Giambi at first. He and Damian Easley will do a little grooming of the infield. The Royals settle for 1 despite 3 hits and a walk. Ryan Mueller gets a double play to help himself out of trouble, and this game is tied as the Tigers bat in the 3rd.
Right over the 415 mark in deep right center field. Quinn comes back and hits a high fly ball, his 6th home run. Kepler, not wearing a number in honor of Ty Cobb, steals a base in the 2nd. And Sweeney, thank goodness, hits into a double, 5-4-3 double play.
Well, the wind blowing out on this summery day, you expect a lot of offense at Tiger Stadium, and that's what we've got. 10 hits and 4 runs already as we head into the bottom of the 3rd. And the man who got it all started, Luis Polonia, drawing inspiration perhaps from the number 23 on his back that's been worn by Kirk Gibson and by Willie Horton, or perhaps from those wristbands of Juan Encarnacion. Whatever it is, he belted a 435-foot homer in the bottom of the 1st leading off.
I don't know what we got completely through it, but we want to wish Juan the very best. We know he's watching the game today. He's probably very uncomfortable. Any consolation, he's a bunt down the 3rd base line. Ran a good fielder.
No, they didn't get him. And so Luis Polonia showing the power his first time up and the speed his second, beating out an infield bunt single.
Well, that'll keep a defense wondering, what is this guy going to do? And that's a great weapon to have.
Absolutely. Pull him in and hit him over the head, and then when they go back, drop it down. Down. He runs really well. Randa, a good fielder, makes a good play, but you can see Polonia just beats the throw to first base. He's probably bunted just a little bit harder than he wanted to, but a great effort by Luis Polonia.
Polonia aboard. Let's see if he shows the wheels of Kirk Gibson now aboard. Ausmus at the plate. Well, that home run Ray was really reminiscent of some that Willie used to hit out into the bleachers.
Well, they used to say, former teammates, Hank Aguirre says, you know, that guy, my teammate, has got, and Gibson, but talking about Horton, he's got muscles all over his body. I remember Willie at the plate one night on a check swing, snapped the bat right in half. And we have another story a little bit about Willie making a diving effort out in left field. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Well, cheerleader can't get him going out there.
He's trying to get the wave started, I think.
I don't know whether it was 67 or 68, and I think Al might remember it. I know George does because he was here. And he makes a diving effort. There's Kurt Gibson. We're talking about Willie Horton, and he makes a diving effort, and they carry him off in a stretcher. And we thought, oh, my God, he's going to be gone. He's going to be gone for the year.
For the rest
well,
of
we
the
found out he was in the starting lineup the next day, and his cup had come up and choked him off a little bit, and he was out of breath.
I remember the time Willie did something, looked like he might have ran into the wall and something. Mayo Smith comes up. He starts running out, pulls a hamstring muscle halfway out there, and right before he got to Willie, Willie gets up and says he's okay.
1 and 2 on.
And Mayo was limping off the field. Oh my God, it was great to see all those guys. And you were right, Ray. Willie was not going to come here. He was so emotional about the closing of the stadium, but we said you have to come. And I think Aurelio Rodriguez talked to him. He says, Willie, you got to show up with the rest of us.
Aurelio's here today.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Dave Alvarez is wearing Aurelio's number.
Might see a little hit and run here. Brad Ausmus, I think the most valuable player on the Tiger ball club. They used him a lot in this situation. He sacrifices himself a lot to get the base runner over. He liked to use a hit and run with him.
Well, Polonia at first, good speed. Even should Ausmus not make contact and strike out, you've got the threat of a stolen base. Suppan is relatively easy to run on. Struck him out, and Polonia was not going.
Made a great pitch on him. Slider down and away.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a little bit too close to take. Good late break to it, but it clearly out of the strike zone.
Now stay tuned after the ball game today, because we'll have all the closing ceremonies from here at Tiger Stadium, and then our UPN 50 day to remember, and we'll remember this great moment from '84. Kirk Gibson, Game 5 World Series against San Diego. And that wasn't after the home run, that celebratory leap up and down that reminded us now of the Ryder Cup team at Boston yesterday.
We're talking to George Brett, who I really want to thank for coming back here for the ceremonies before the game. And he was at the Ryder Cup, and he stayed there, and he was there right in the midst of it. And he said, you could not believe the electricity, the excitement went on, and I was able to get home in time to watch the last hour or so of it, and it was outstanding. And there's George Brett, one of the great guys, one of the great ball players of all time, believe me.
And one of the men that Sparky Anderson would not pitch to in a tight spot.
Absolutely. He would say we might lose, but George Brett is not going to beat us. Especially if their man is scoring. He might hit a home run with a man on first base, but if there's a man on second base, third base, we're going to walk him. If the other guy hits a 3-run homer or 2-run homer, who cares? We're not going to let George. That's how much he thought of George Brett.
Fouled back by Tony Clark. And Ray Lane, George Brett took it like a man, too. You see so many players who complain about managers working around them and not pitching to them. Not George Brett. He understood.
I think that was right from his upbringing by his father and his family and his brothers, and what he had the experience of doing. He expected that. And he expected, even though he was a talented all-star player, to be pushed off the plate, too.
Well, actually, when you think about it, all the things they did with Brett, pitching around him, walking him, pushing him off the plate, those are compliments to you.
Oh, yeah. You know, you like to hit. You like to be the guy, the big guy that drives the run in, but you also have to respect what the other team's trying to do to you.
And the only thing George Brett didn't like was when Billy Martin had his bat confiscated for all that pine tar. There goes the runner, and Tony Clark lifts it in the air to left. Quinn has to go back on this
still
one.
going.
Man, did the wind give that a ride. And Polonia scoots back to first.
And Tony's saying if I could have just hit it just a little bit harder, it would have been out of here. I tell you, the wind is really blowing almost dead straight away center. The ball is going to jump out any place in this ballpark if they can get it up in the air and hit it reasonably well.
And that was another ball. Tony really missed it completely. 2 outs, and here's Dean Palmer.
Frank, you talked about the George Brett and member of the Royals there, and of course the Royals made the playoffs 7 out of 10 years. And Brett was a part of that a little bit later on, 76 through 85, and really known for the offense. And George Brett was a big key in that too. And this year, this is going to be their 7th losing season in 10 years.
This one is blasted to deep center. Beltran going back, and he reaches up and grabs it about 330 feet from home plate.
A home run anywhere but here in the Grand Canyon.
You betcha. 430-foot fly ball for the final out. The Tigers lead Polonia aboard, and we're all even through 3 in our final day at the corner. Not only to be here because it's the last ball game ever at the corner, but also because I'm with 3 Hall of Famers in the booth, Al Kaline, George Kell, and Ray Lane. And now we're joined by the Commissioner of Baseball, Bud Selig. Nice to have you with us, sir.
Thank you, Frank. Nice to be here today.
Great to have you back in Detroit. I know George was just telling you during the commercial, we've solved all of your problems for you. We've raised the mound for you. We've taken the designated hitter out of baseball, and now we're ready to move on.
Well, I'm delighted. You know, I get a lot of help wherever I go, and I always receive it happily. So.
Well, we're honored that you are here. I know you know this is a special place for baseball history, and the Detroit Tigers very honored that you were able to come here today.
Well, Al, I'll tell you, you know, when I look around and I think just the 41 and 2 years that I've been coming here, this place is so remarkable. And there's a special category of stadiums that I think really reflect so much of baseball history. Yankee Stadium, Tiger Stadium, Wrigley Field, and Fenway Park. I mean, it's remarkable.
Boils down to that.
And this is even a little bit more unique than them because it's completely enclosed with an upper deck. And, and we're going to miss that, even though Comerica Park is going to be one of the most beautiful parks. But there's something special about a stadium like this, that the fans are so close.
No question.
And the upper deck is close also because of the post.
Well, I don't have to tell any of you, but you and George in particular, when you think of the history and the people that have played here and what's gone on here, this is really remarkable. I mean, it's everything that baseball should be, and it's everything that you want, and that's why this is Detroit. This is when I walked around here today, all I said to myself is, this is a baseball stadium. This is what it should be.
And it looks beautiful when there's a lot of people in it.
Boy, does it ever.
This is so great. The last couple of weeks.
Critter throws his bat at the ball. Tony Clark underhands to Moeller covering, and they play it perfectly for the first out here in inning number 4. Now you talk about some of the greats in all of sports. There's another one, the gray-haired gentleman who's being obscured right there, Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe, my goodness.
Number 9.
Wow.
That is so great.
How about that?
Man, he is something special. What a nice man he is, and we understand he's and there's another nice man there, Mayor Archer and his lovely wife. Mayor
Archer, who has overseen the development of Comerica Park along with John McHale and Mike Ilitch here in Detroit. And our guest, Commissioner Bud Selig, was in Detroit when we broke ground for Comerica Park.
That's right. How well I remember it. You know, the way I guess that I would look at it, today is a day of celebration, really. You celebrate the magnificence of the history and tradition. And while I know there's a certain sadness that this is the last time you're going to see a game here, you have to look a mile east and say, but there's a stadium going up that's going to perpetuate baseball here for generations to come. And that's really the way that really one should look at it.
Well, that's the way I try to answer. Sure, it's sad because I've been coming here 46 years, but I can take so many memories out of this place. And in fact, I'm one of the lucky ones. I have so many memories, and be able to, and I'm looking forward to the new ballpark because I've seen what Jacobs Field, what Coors Field, what Camden Yards.
yeah.
And I guess the one out in Seattle now is outstanding also.
Terrific.
So I can see exactly what those people are appreciating going to the ballpark.
Well, you know, Al, what's interesting about it, and in all these stadium debates, including the one in Milwaukee, I know how people feel about old ballparks, but what you finally have to say to yourself is, look, this park is 88 years old. I'll guarantee you that back in 1912, if someone had said, well, they'll still be playing baseball here 87 years from now, people would have been happy. And everything in life is changing, and really in the end, what do we want to do? We want to perpetuate this game in the best way in a market like this, and so it was time to build a new facility.
I think you're absolutely right. But I know, and I think I'm appreciating even more, particularly this year. Sanchez, it's a line drive. Tough Sunfield out there right now, and he makes the play.
Garcia puts it away. We'll continue with the commissioner. Can you stay with us, Mr.
Sure can.
Seelig?
Sure
We'd
can.
appreciate that. The first 1-2-3 inning of the ball game. The
How about
Royals
that?
go in order in the fourth. It's still 2-2 here at the corner.
Series once for the All-Star game. Chet, what are your thoughts as you watch one final game here at the old place?
Well, I kind of have mixed emotions. You know, obviously, progress is important. But, you know, so many memories here and play center field for so many years. I'm going to miss being able to come here and see a ball game. But, you know, I'm really excited about the new ballpark, Comerica, and I'm excited for the people here in Detroit. I think that they're going to get a chance to start a new history. So it's going to be great.
Now, you hold the Major League record for putouts at 512 in a season playing center field here. I understand you're going to do something special with that glove you used that year.
Yeah, in fact, I used it almost my whole career, and I'm gonna give it to Comerica, you know, and they're gonna display it in their, I guess, their showcase. So, you know, that's nice. I mean, I think it's nice to be able to give something back, and I think that most of the players that are here are making some kind of contribution back to the Detroit Tigers.
Chet, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Enjoyed it, Tim.
All right, one of the greats, Chet Lemon, back upstairs.
Damian Easley starts the Tigers fourth with his second hit of the afternoon. A solid single through the hole. And the leadoff man is aboard for Karim Garcia. You know, hearing Chet Lemon and Tim talk about that year he had the 500 putouts in center field, I'd swear that year he was catching balls from foul line to foul line.
He was an outstanding center fielder, very much in the category of Mickey Stanley. He was an exceptional player. Turned out to be a real good trade. The people here went kind of crazy when they traded Steve Kemp over to Chicago for Chet Lemon, but it really worked out well for the Tigers.
Well, this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Detroit Tigers and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Detroit Tigers, UPN 50, and the gentleman to my right, Mr. Bud Selig, the Commissioner of Baseball. You know, we're very proud around here. We talk about baseball bloodlines with John McHale and his father, who was on the 45 championship team here, and with Randy Smith, whose dad, Tal, still runs the Houston Astros. But now in the Selig family, you have passed the torch on to not a son, but your daughter, Wendy.
Well, that's right. From the time she was very little, she in through law school, and she became a lawyer and everything else, but baseball was something that was really in her blood. I remember even as a little kid, she'd ask me questions. We'd be on road trips. I used to take her on road trips, and she had a really remarkable appetite for trying to figure out everything that went on. So the training has stood her in good stead, and I must say this year has been a tough ground for her, on the field and off the field.
Well, off the field, you know, with Sal Bando and Phil Garner, the manager, now gone. There's a lot of controversy with that, and of course the tragedy in Milwaukee with Miller Park, your splendid new ballpark, which it appeared was going to open next year, but that horrible accident which killed 3 workers.
Well, it was a horrible situation, and it set them back a year. But more important was they were concerned about the families and safety, and so it's been a very, very emotional summer. But that park will open now on April 1st, 2001, and I think everybody has now moved past that, but it's been a very tough summer.
Commissioner, your office has had another emotional issue to deal with this year with the umpires.
Yes, it's been unfortunate. It's not the kind of issue, frankly, that we look for. I was down visiting with the umpires today before the game, and you know, we have enough controversy in baseball that you don't go looking for it. But quite candidly, as you know, we've now gone to centralization, and something I think really should have been done a long time ago. And there was no issue. Frankly, I'm sorry to say this, but the issue was raised by Richie Phillips, and I think many people today now understand that. He looked for a fight when there was no fight necessary, and we didn't want to fight. But
yeah, the umpires followed the wrong leader. There's no question that Richie Phillips led them down the wrong path, and they didn't realize that the baseball fans were not going to put up with umpires their demands.
Well, you know, Al, an interesting thing is, I've told the umpires this today. From last January on, I kept telling Richie that there's no reason to fight. Look, we know the blood, sweat, and tears that have gone back into bringing the game back from the strike of '94 and '95, and so one of the things that I have really focused on is on the field and peace and harmony. And I kept saying to Richie all along, let's not look for trouble. We have a contract that goes through December 31st of this year. When that's over, then we'll begin to negotiate another contract. But somehow, I guess, for whatever reason, he wanted to fight. And then provoke the day after the All-Star game, which was, as you know, Al, such a magnificent, wonderful thing. And here the next day, he's got everybody behind him. It's hard to, frankly,
make sense.
It doesn't, George. And,
no,
you know,
doesn't.
even 2 months later, it still doesn't make any sense.
Does not.
We're in the bottom of the fourth in the final game at Comerica Park. All of us sharing a lot of memories of this grand old place, and some of these youngsters are here for perhaps the first time on the last day of the stadium. What a pleasure it's been to have Commissioner Bud Selig with us today. And it's appropriate that a man from Milwaukee was here on the last day of Tiger Stadium, because the first pro game ever played on this site back in 1901 involved a team from Milwaukee.
Is that right?
That was ahead of the Tigers, 13-4, Commissioner, going to the bottom of the 9th inning. And the Tigers scored 10 runs in the bottom of the 9th to win that game.
Well, we don't want to wait that long. Let's score.
Let's get 14 early, Al.
Well, you know, I know how nervous I used to be in 9th innings in this ballpark when I brought the Brewers here. I don't think I could have survived the 10-run 9th inning. I don't mind telling you. That would have been too much for me.
Gabe Kapler at the plate. No number on his back, because Ty Cobb never wore a number, and he was on the Tigers' all-time team. Pulled in the hole. They just got Garcia at second. Sanchez to Fables. And somehow they got Kareem Garcia. I don't understand how he didn't get to second.
Yeah, that was a great play. I couldn't see what kind of a break that Kareem got at first base, but what a super play, and it was close, but not that close.
Right.
And what a great play. Look how he throws the ball off balance and has a lot on it.
How about that stretch by Fables at second, too? Terrific play.
Boy, what a play.
So Kapler, after being robbed by Sanchez of a hit, is aboard with 2 outs. And here's Robert Fick. And Al Kaline, this is a good spot for Robert to be Norm Cash reincarnate.
Yeah, I told him he was going to hit a home run today. He almost hit one. Didn't hit it quite hard enough. Got it out to the warning track.
And that drove in the Tigers' second run in inning number 2. Sacrifice fly by Robert Fick.
Robert dances to a different tune. He's a very confident young man, and he acts more than a rookie.
I was down in the dugout walking through, and he introduced himself to me.
Did he really?
Oh. Yeah.
Well, that's Robert Fick. He's one of those friendly California kids. And I'm sure he meant no disrespect.
No,
Mr. Commissioner.
he was very nice.
When he called you dude, it was...
Oh, hey, dude.
Good stop by the catcher, Chad Critter, the ex-Tiger. And he He's a guy who's very confident in his own abilities and is sure he's going to have a long and illustrious career.
Commissioner, what are we going to do about the Montreal franchise? Are they getting that thing straightened away up in
Well,
Montreal?
we'll know, Al. We're going to know in the next couple weeks. My patience is wearing very thin. They've been. I've given them a lot of time. I like to try to give communities as much time as possible.
Absolutely,
And this has gone on a long time, but they really have to come to a moment of truth here, both on the ownership question and the stadium question. And so I'll know, I think, maybe even a week from today, but certainly within a couple weeks, whether either they can or they can't. And I've told them that now, so hopefully they can. I'm pulling for them.
Well, probably one, if they get the stadium, you probably will get new ownership.
Yes.
But if they don't, then it's going to be really a question mark.
Well, if they don't get a new stadium, they can't survive there. I mean, it's as simple as that. There's no way. You won't even find an ownership to stay in the old ballpark. Everybody up there acknowledges they need a new park.
Terrible.
So, Al, it's a terrible park. And what you either need a new stadium or this franchise can't stay there.
Robert Fick works Suppan for a walk, and the Tigers have 2 aboard, 2 outs, and maybe the most improved player in the American League coming up to the plate, Davy Cruz.
Well, he would love to get a base hit in honor of his very best friend on the ball club, Juan Encarnacion. You mentioned that he's wearing the wristbands with number 34 on it in honor of his best buddy, who has, if you didn't hear, got hit right in the face with a pitch ball, broke his nose, and broke his cheekbone. And Juan was operated on today at noon, I understand. They put a plate in his face, but they say his vision is going to be great. It's going to be okay. It's not going to affect that, but obviously he's going to have some tough days ahead of him with the swelling and the pain.
There's a fly ball into left center field, and it's deep. Beltran back near the fence, and he pulls it in right in front of the 400-foot mark. Commissioner, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for coming to Detroit one final time to the corner.
Enjoyed it, and I'll tell you, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you, bud. Thank you.
We head for the 5th, still tied up.
Fox Monday. Grandma pulls it.
Talk a little bit, Mark, about that season you had. I mean, do you still look back and think you were living a dream?
It was a dream. It was a fantasy dream. It was like Disney couldn't have wrote a better picture. I mean, everything that happened, but it was all natural. That was the nice thing about it. And to me, it's a part of my life, part of everyone here at this ballpark. That's why everyone's looking, yelling. This is a beautiful feeling to have, to come back here and be able to see this again.
Well, we see that the bad guys get a double. Quickly, one of the greatest memories you're going to take with you, Mark, as this old stadium closes down.
The greatest memory I'm going to take with me, that I actually played in the big leagues, and I played in Michigan. And I'll tell you what, when I was in high school, I used to do a lot of history stuff about the lakes and all that. And actually, I ended up being in Michigan, and now I have a piece of Michigan, and that's best.
All right, guys. Mark the Bird Fidrich, I think he brought a smile to everybody's face.
Mark Fidrich, who won 19 games in that magical rookie season of 1976 when he just captured the imagination of all of baseball. And I'll never forget, after that year, he was named Rookie of the Year. And his dad said, you know what? He should have won the Cy Young Award, and he should have won MVP, too, because he had a 2.34 ERA to lead the league, and he filled every ballpark in the American League.
He did do that. There's no question. And they got mad when he would miss his turn. I remember one time out in Anaheim, for some reason, we got rained out, and they backed up one of the starting pitchers, and they went out of their mind. They called Jim Campbell. They called Ralph Houck, and they said, you cannot, you got to pitch him. And the Bird went out before the game started and spent the whole game, all through batting practice in right field, signing autographs to compensate for not being able to pitch.
I think Jim Campbell once said he sold 25,000 tickets at every place on the road, easily.
And after that season, Jim Campbell rewarded Mark Fidrich with a $100,000 bonus just for what he did. Jermaine Dye lifts one to right, easily back, called off by Garcia, and Beltran, who collected his 3rd hit with that leadoff double, will stay at second base with 1 out. Well, another great Tiger fan from the Red Wings, Joe Kosher. Ray Lane, he and Aaron Ward and Darren McCarty, all huge baseball fans.
They are.
We've seen out here an awful lot.
I'll tell you what, and some of the boys will be in action tomorrow night right here on UPN 50 at 7:30, getting underway against Philadelphia. So it'll still be exhibition game, but beginning of that season rolling around next weekend.
And Joey, of course, not under contract yet, and the season getting very close. And sometimes it's better to give in a little bit instead of pushing a little bit too hard. That's it was McCarty, I think, was it? I thought it was Joey Kocur, but it was McCarty. And McCarty is the one that's not signed, and of course Kocur is skating, but he has some problems, I think.
Well, he's really come the last couple of years. Really had the injuries, had surgery, really trying to fight his way back in and maybe get another year in the National Hockey League. It might come down to just a numbers game with the roster of the Red Wings. That may affect Joey.
Sweeney with a go-ahead run at second. One out in the fifth. Pops this one foul. Well, Brian Moeller is getting in on the fists of a lot of Kansas City hitters in these last 2 innings, something he didn't do in the first 3 innings.
Well, you know, and the scouting report on Brian, let's face it, doesn't throw that hard. He's probably 89, 90 tops, and that's not really fast in the big leagues. So consequently, if you don't throw that hard, you better start looking out over the plate, because that's probably what his best pitch is going to be: sliders, breaking balls away from the hitters.
This is foul. And Todd Jones is about to make a new friend. Todd makes friends everywhere. Todd was up on top of the scoreboard with Dave Malicki. We mentioned Brian Moeller was up there. Todd and Dave Malicki also went up there. And they said Todd just sat on the edge of the scoreboard, and everybody was just going, Todd, don't move too quickly up there.
How wide is that up there? It's hard to tell from here.
Brian Moeller said it's not all that wide, and there's no walkway up there. You're just walking on the tar roof, and it sort of gives when you take footsteps.
Oh.
He said it's a little bit frightening, to tell you the truth.
It would be for me.
I'd want a parachute.
I'm not sure I'd want to go up there. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Sweeney. On the outside corner, and Moeller caught him looking at one too many. 3 strikeouts for Moeller, and it's been a rough afternoon for Sweeney. He's been victimized twice, and in between he banged into a double play.
Yeah, this might be a little bit of a wide strike zone. Sweeney thinks it's a little bit outside.
It's all right. That's what makes it a better game.
Hey, it really wasn't that far outside.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, it's a pitch that you certainly could hit.
Yogi Berra would have slapped that one down the left field line like a bullet.
Here's Joe Randa, who tied the game with an RBI single his last time up. A little Texas leaguer to left.
Talking about the scoreboard. Remember the old scoreboards? These 2 guys would, I guess. Al and George. Guys used to work out on the scoreboard, post the scores up there, put the numbers up there, and sometimes even had a running conversation going.
Yeah.
And remember the big AC Delco spark plug up there.
Bruin watch. And I see they finally got rid of that camera over in Cleveland, out in the center field area.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, big rhubarb about that. They thought Cleveland was stealing the signs, relaying them to the dugout, and the dugout making some kind of a noise to the hitters, whether it was a fastball or a breaking ball.
Well,
they denied it.
Legal or illegal, it shouldn't have been there. It should not have been there.
Just missed the outside corner, 2-1.
George, how good were you at stealing signs during your career? Were you pretty able to do?
From second base, I could.
Yeah.
Only place. Hank Greenberg taught me. If I get on second, he wanted the fastball sign, not the curve. Fastball.
Here's the 2-1 to Randa. It's a good changeup from Moeller.
Now here's a time when the outfielders should start shading towards right field. Randa, a guy that likes to protect the plate. He doesn't like to strike out very much, and he will, in my opinion, will be trying to serve the ball out to right field, up the middle. I've seen, haven't seen anybody move yet. Polonia looks like he's a statue out there.
All twos on the board. In the count, outs, the score. And now it's a full count on Joe Renda. Different story now.
Actually, this is in the favor of the hitter, 3-2. You know he has to throw a strike. You don't want this next guy coming up to the plate. I tell you, he is dangerous. Quinn. He swings a mean bat, boy. I tell you, I like him.
Yeah, he has convinced you he can play.
The payoff pitch to Randa. Slap toward third. Nice short hop pickup by Dean Palmer, and the off-balance throw gets it. And Brian Moeller works out of yet another trouble spot. That's 7 left stranded by the Royals through 5, and we're still tied here at the corner.
Hey, here's our second game summary. Polonia 2 for 2. That's a home run and a single. Easley also 2 for 2. Beltran even a little bit better. 3 for 3. 2 singles, a double, and a run scored. There's Robert Dick just missing this ball. Looked like he might have got it up in a wind. He took it almost back to the warning track, and that scores Easley in the second inning. Joe Randa hits one right on the handle and loops it over in the short left field. That scores Beltran in the third inning. And look at the play by Sanchez.
And standing by with us downstairs is Tim Swore.
Thank you, guys. I have Darren McCarty as we sit behind Brad Ausmus, who's in the on-deck circle. And Darren, I'd ask you how your golf game's going, but I know it's probably going pretty well. Let's talk contract for a minute, buddy. How are we doing?
Well, so far it's disappointing. It's not finished yet, especially with the opening game coming up Saturday. But keep my fingers crossed, and hopefully we get something done this week so we can get back for the beginning of the season.
Are we getting closer?
Well, we've been close, in different things for a while. It's these things are, how you put it, but they suck to do.
Sure.
It's no fun doing them, but like I said, number one priority is my family, and hopefully everything will work out. And it's just nice to be able to come down today to Tiger Stadium last game and hopefully see the Tigers win.
Well, you were admiring Luis Polonia's smash early in the game. You're a big baseball fan, aren't you?
I'm a huge baseball fan, and I didn't know a little guy had that much pop. He hit that about as far as you can hit it in this ballpark, and to lead off the game, special game it is like that, to lead off the bottom of the first like that, something that he'll remember and most people here will remember.
All right, Darren, good luck, and let's see you on the ice soon, all right?
Thanks, Tim.
All right, guys, if I would judge by the reaction of the fans, not only could he get a contract he wants, probably run for president back upstairs.
Yeah, fans are always on the side of the players, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And boy, he's a very popular player. He does so much in the communities.
Got the nice hair, Garcia and Jones style.
Well, he's finally got his natural color back. Tony Clark taking a pitch as you knew he would after Polonia and Ausmus both chased the first pitch from Suppan. That's on the inside corner to Big Tony, and it's 1-1. This ball game tied in the fifth at the corner. Last game ever here at Michigan and Trumbull. Ball 2, strike 1. Ernie Harwell this morning said if I had my wish, it would be a 3-2 final, and the Tigers would win it on a home run in the bottom of the ninth.
Wow. Let's don't wait that long, though.
Well, right now, the way it's setting up.
Could happen.
Ernie and everyone else, it could. That ball bounced up and caught home plate umpire Rocky Rowe.
I would love to see Tony get out in front and hit one up on the roof or over. Who's the last Tiger to do that?
Kareem Garcia.
Kareem, and I don't think that's fair. I'd like to see Tony do it.
Had a pitch right there, didn't he?
He sure did. Well, the Tigers looking for some power. Beltire's got it. That Tiger power. And they'd like to unleash some for Tony Clark right now. Full count, 2 out in the fifth. Tie ball game. Pulled on the ground to first. A bad hop. But Sweeney, the catcher, recovers and throws out Tony Clark. And the Tigers go 1-2-3 for the first time. We head for the 6th on the last day at the corner. Still tied at 2. Well, a lot of Tigers to remember from their days in this ballpark. One of the members of the all-time team, the great number 5, Hank Greenberg. And we'll see more of Hank and the all-time Tigers team after this ball game on a day to remember here on UPN 50. So far, pretty good ball game to remember. And one of the guys who has made a memory for himself is at the plate. What a big swing Mark Quinn had right there.
This guy scares the heck out of me.
Looked like he hurt himself up there. You know that?
Now, everybody loved that team in '84. The Bless You Boys team. This one line to right. And Kareem Garcia pulls it in. Well, they finally got Quinn out. Now they got to figure out a way to retire Beltran.
Hey, George, want to ask you about you coming into Tiger Stadium for the first time. You remember your first time into the clubhouse and walking out of this field?
Yes, sure I did.
Go ahead.
I remember being traded. I don't remember the first time I came into the ballpark as a member of the Philadelphia Ball Club. But being traded by the A's to the Tigers and walking over to the Tiger clubhouse, and Barney McCoskey pulled off number 21 and handed it to me and said good luck, and tears in his eyes, and I was so proud, and he didn't want to leave. He lived in Detroit. This was his home, and he'd been here, and he'd had some great years. And, oh, I was so proud. I'd left Philadelphia, last place ball club, and moving to the Tigers, who were the world champions.
And is it true that Mr. Mack gave you the news of that train on the trade on the elevator?
Yes, he did. He asked me to come to his suite with him. He was on the elevator. He said, would you come with me to my suite? We got to his suite and told me, he said, I'm going to trade you to Detroit. I have traded you to Detroit. And he said, it's going to be a great break for you. You're moving from a last place club to a world championship club. You're going to be a good ball player. You're going to make a lot of money. And I thought, yes, 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 Mr. Mack. You tell everybody that. Everybody's traded, you tell them that. But it turned out right. He turned out right. He told me the truth.
George, that batting title you won in '49 was one you wrapped up on the last day of the season against Ted Williams, too.
Last day of the season, and I was in the on-deck circle with 1 out and a runner at first base, and Eddie Lake was the batter, and I was 0.02 of a point ahead, and Eddie Lake hit the first pitch on a 2-hopper to Ray Boone. I talked to Ray last night, playing shortstop. He fielded it about 2 steps from the bag, and he stepped on the bag so nonchalant, and I'm thinking to myself, throw it, throw it. Don't hold it,
you didn't want to take a chance that last time at bat. I don't blame you.
No, but I was going to bat. Red Roth had already asked me, says, can I send Ginsburg up to hit for you? And I said, no. In my own mind, Ted Williams played on the last day of the season when he hit 400. He did not sit in the clubhouse, and I said, I'm not going to sit in the clubhouse.
And he got 3 hits on that last day, didn't he, when he hit 400, just like you did in '49?
He got 6.
He got 6 the last day? Doubleheader?
Doubleheader. He got 3 in each game.
The last game he got 3. And you had 3, didn't you, George?
No, I had 2 for 3.
You had 2 in the last game?
Had a double off of Lemon and a single off of Lemon. Then Bob Feller came in to relieve. He walked me, and then he struck me out.
Tell me something. How did you do the day you got traded? All you did was walk from one clubhouse to the other, right?
Right.
How did you do the first game against your former teammates?
Well, they wouldn't let us play.
Oh, they wouldn't. Okay.
The A's were still in town, and they were leaving that night. Barney was not allowed to play, and I was not allowed to play. Now, I dressed out, and I went out on the bench. I wanted to see what was going on and get a feel of everything. Barney went home.
Well, Joe Ginsburg is here today. You mentioned Joe, and he's on hand as one of the many alumni of the Tigers. That'll be in the post-game ceremonies, and of course we'll be carrying all of those ceremonies right here following the ball game here on UPN 50.
Well, George, you would have been here back in '44, the first time they put the screen up over the lower deck. They did it in '44, and then Al, they did it when you played in '61.
Yeah, '61, 1 year that I played, they had the screen from the upper deck down to the lower deck, not all the way in right field, but 1, 2, 3, 4 poles over.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had a screen up.
1944-45, the Warriors. That's where all the service people sat for nothing. Came in and they were a guest of the Tigers, and that's where they sat, lower deck, downstairs.
Funny thing about it, we only hit 3 balls that hit the net all year long.
I think Billy Bruton must have hit all of them, too.
And I think there was only a few by opposing teams.
Well,
Most of the balls were in the upper deck when they hit home runs.
The amazing thing, Al, they put that net up, and the Tigers' home run total went from 150 the year before to 180 with the net up there.
Well, they figured he had to swing a little harder, I guess. Huh?
You know, I heard a great old interview this past week that Bob Reynolds did in 1959. Did you hear this one out with Charlie Maxwell down at spring training? About Roger Maris, trade rumors. And Maxwell said, and this is 2 years before Maris would hit 61 homers. And Charlie Maxwell said, well, I don't know what we'd want with a 240 hitter, and that's all Maris hit last year. We've got a couple of guys who could hit 30 home runs in a season here.
And then 2 years later, he broke
hit 61.
Yep, Babe Ruth's record.
You know, in St. Louis, in Old Sportsman's Park, they did not have the screen up for a number of years. After I got to the big leagues, they didn't have it up. They must have put it up around 45 or 6. And I don't know how many balls Stan Musial hit in there, but I would imagine a few line drives in there. Only about 310 down the line.
Well, you think about it, here at Tiger Stadium, it's 325 to the right field corner, but the upper deck, the overhang hangs out 10 feet. It's really only 315 to the upper deck.
Believe me, there was a couple of times when I thought I was going to catch a fly ball where it just nicked the overhang.
Well, Fabulous thought he had a chance at that Moeller sinker. Couldn't find it, though. The Royals strand another runner, and after 5.5, we're still tied at the corner.
Way down south in the hills of Georgia, down where the pine trees grow so tall, where the coon and the dog and the alligator bark, and the Georgia peaches are the sweetest of all.
The Georgia peach, maybe the greatest Tiger of them all.
Absolutely, there's no question about that. He's just for, and I know George feels the same way, just to have a chance to play on the same field as Ty Cobb and as all those great players before us. I mean, those are memories we'll never forget. Get an opportunity. Not too many people get an opportunity to play on the same field as Ty Cobb and all the great players before us.
Al, that overhang in right, I read a story this week that under the overhang, there are floodlights that illuminate the warning track down there because the light towers can't get to that area.
There are lights there, but it doesn't affect an outfielder at all.
Toward the left side, off the glove of Randa. And Dean Palmer will pick up an infield hit to give the Tigers the potential go-ahead run here in the 6th inning. Well, Al and George, I know you've got to get downstairs as Joe Randa picks himself up, and we get one more look at a great effort at the hot corner.
Yeah, here it is right here. He deflects it away from Sanchez. He might have been able to make the play on Palmer. He doesn't run that well, but yeah, George and I were going to have to take off, and we have a long ways to go through this tremendous crowd all the way out to center field, and you know, we're not getting any younger, and it's going to take us a little time to get out there. So.
Well, and I would imagine 1 or 2 people may ask you for an autograph on the way.
Well, we're going to stop and go right straight out through there. They're going to stop the game.
Can we get Rocky Rowe's attention?
Yeah, get his attention, and we'll run. I can't run anymore.
What a pleasure! What a pleasure, Ray, and I know you join me in this sentiment to spend.
We have enjoyed being with
time with you too.
Well,
thanks very much, guys. And,
see you on the field, George.
And
after
carry
the
on,
game.
guys. Carry on. Have a great show.
Okay, we'll see you after the field.
Okay.
After the game.
All right.
Okay.
Enjoy that great ceremony, George, Al. We know you will, and we know we will too. Ray Lane, this final day at Tiger Stadium with 2 Hall of Famers in the booth. I'll tell you what, Al Kaline has held it together emotionally all day long.
And I'll tell you, he was quivering a little bit earlier.
When he gave that speech before the game?
Yep.
Yeah, he sure was.
Well, why not, you know?
Well, those are 2 of the legends in our town.
He said, you take a look at how much time I came down here and spent for 20 years, plus broadcasting, but as a player. And I was down here at least 2.5 to 3 hours before every ball game. I've got half my life invested right here at Tiger Stadium.
And a couple of class acts right there.
Other fellows today, Eldon Hawker will be on hand. And Dave Bergman, Reno Petroio will be on hand. Ray Boone, that George spoke about, some of the guys that'll be post-game ceremonies on the field.
Saw Cecil Fielder before the ball.
Oh, did you really?
Big Daddy got here just before the ceremony started, the pregame ceremonies, and he was looking for a cigar from somebody. And they said, Cess, hurry up and suit up. We could use you today. Easley lays down a punt. Kruder has trouble picking it up, and he just does get Easley. He would have had a good shot at Palmer at second base, right?
But couldn't get the handle right away. Finally pounced on it, talking it over a little bit with plate umpire Rocky Rowe. Might have been trying to maybe look out there to see where that base runner was going to be, and just took his eye off it for a second.
So that's what Cobb's Lake was like, huh?
Right out there.
You had to reach down among the Petoskey stones to find the baseball.
A little soggy out there, and there was a little action you see on that ball coming back also.
And the bat laying there right in front of the plate, and that might have affected it, and that might be why Kruder was asking Rocky Rowe.
It did. You know, you mentioned when Cobb was here, and of course the Chicago White Sox back in the 50s and early 60s, and Kaline testified to that. They would just do the same thing out in front. The guys with Aparicio and Landis that they had, a speed team. Of course, when they went on to win it in '59, that team was that ballpark, Comiskey Park, a swamp out in front too. Just to try to get an advantage, a little cheating.
Yeah. Well, not cheating, just an advantage. Just bending the rules slightly. One strike on Garcia. A base hit here, and the Tigers would have a shot at bringing in the go-ahead run. In the outfield, as you look at Palmer, he does not have great speed at second. The best arm in the KC outfield probably belongs to Dye out in right. He had a gun when he was in Atlanta. And now some confusion over the signs. And Kruder will head to the mound to talk to Suppan.
Listen, you're a hometowner here, Frank. How about your memories? How about your memories as a kid coming to this ballpark?
Well, my memories as a kid started with my mom and dad bringing me out here. We tried to always come for the doubleheaders because we figured that was a great bargain. 2 games for 1.
That's right.
We all loved baseball in my family, my brother and I and my parents. Then coming here as a kid usher, wiping off the reserved seats down the right field line in sections 230 and 231 and 232. Oh, yeah. For those quarter tips. Here's a long blast to left off the bat of Karim Garcia. And there she goes the other way in the upper deck. And the man wearing Al Kaline's number does honor to number 6 with a go-ahead 2-run homer in inning number 6. How do you like that?
I love it. A little bit of a slip as it comes in, and the step on the plate to make it like a 4-2 ball game for the Tigers. And just goes the opposite way and showing the great power and upstairs. And that ball fought the wind a little bit that was blowing out from the left field line, but he hit it. Tagged it.
And watch the reaction of Garcia. We just missed it there as we get a look at the fans going for that souvenir in the upper deck. But he shook a fist as he headed to first. Karim Garcia. Number 13, and the Tigers lead it 4-2. Let me tell you, he was posing for pictures with Al Kaline before the ball game. He knows what the history of this game's all about. 1-1 the count on Kapler. Low and outside.
You talk about Al Kaline. 46 years ago yesterday, although it didn't take place here, rookie Al Kaline hit his first major league home run off a guy by the name of Dave Hoskins in Cleveland.
Boy, Kapler ripped that one to left. It takes a bad hop on Quinn, but he stays with it, and he'll hold Gabe to a single. The third Tiger hit here in the 6th inning, and it all started with a scratch hit off the glove of Randall. There's action in the Kansas City bullpen, and here comes Tony Muser, and he's already made the sign. He wants to make a pitching change here in the 6th. He's seen enough after 3 hits from the 4 Tiger batters who have appeared this inning at the plate.
Might be Al Mormon, the left-hander coming in.
That's who it is. Suppan heads to the showers. He will not capture a victory in this final game at Tiger Stadium. So the Royals make the change after the Tigers grab the lead, and there are the home run hitters. Luis Polonia on the right, and now Karim Garcia, who's given the Tigers the lead 4-2. And during the Royals pitching change, we pause here on UPN 50.
A pitching change brings in the left-hander, and this is Al Mormon making his 47th appearance. Suppan went 5 1/3 innings, allows 8 hits, allows 4 runs. The damaging one, of course, the 2-run blast by Garcia here in the inning. Walked 3 and struck out 1. So it's Mormon, M-O-R-M-A-N, 2-4 record. And the 46 games he's appeared in, he's racked up 1 save, a total of 51 innings.
The left-hander coming in to face the left-handed hitting Rob Fick. But first, a throw over to keep Kapler honest.
We'll see if Kaline still gets a shot for Mr. Fick to hit that 4-bagger. So his number has been well represented, and now he would like to be able to say, yeah, I called this shot.
Mormon, who has pitched with Houston and San Francisco in the National League and with Cleveland in the American, keeping an eye on Kapler over there. Well, home runs by Luis Polonia, who's wearing 23, the number made famous by Willie Horton and Kirk Gibson, and Karim Garcia wearing Al Kaline's old number 6.
Might have a hard time getting it off their backs again, huh? Except that one has been officially retired.
Well, I guarantee you Karim won't get number 6 for good. That's a fact. And there was Tony Clark on the bench. Al's rooting for him to hit the final home run at Tiger Stadium. Big Tony. He'll get at least one more at bat in the ball game. Kapler off to a cautious lead. Fick foul tipped that ball on the check swing. 0-2. Robert Fick out of Cal State Northridge, where he had some great collegiate numbers. Had the shoulder surgery earlier this year. And now in September with the Tigers is enjoying his spring training before he heads to fall ball.
Wonder if he could have made this club had not got hurt and someplace early in the spring, April or May, been with this team.
Well, a lot of people were counting on that and thought he had a shot before that shoulder started going bad on him.
Right-hander Santiago beginning to loosen up now in the KC bullpen.
The Tigers pen is now quiet. The 0-2 to Fick. The lines went out toward right. Die over, and he pulls it in, and Gabe Kapler thought there were 2 outs, and he has just made a mistake that Ty Cobb would not have made, my friends, and he's doubled up. And he is the most embarrassed man in Detroit right now. So a base-running blunder helps the Royals get out of further trouble here in the 6th, but Karim Garcia's 2-run homer gives the Tigers the lead. We head to the 7th.
8.
On this day to remember, there are Tigers to remember. And they said in '68, there's none greater than Denny McLain, who won 31 games for the Tigers championship team. And Ray Lane and company will remember him in our special here on UPN 50 later on tonight. How about the grounds crew? Last trip around the infield at Tiger Stadium, and the flash bulbs were popping, and they got a standing ovation. New pitcher for the Tigers, Frankie Cordero, and Ray Sanchez delivers his first pitch into right center field for a solid base hit.
Good solid hit there, as Cordero just gave him the fastball. Sanchez was looking for it, so he wraps up his second base hit. Hey, talking about the ground crew, they really have worked harder today, haven't they? They're changing the bases after every inning here. Every inning.
Those bases will be keepsakes in a lot of different places. The new Tigers Museum that we'll see. next season. You'll be able to catch a lot of the items from today's game on display at Comerica Park. Cordero's next pitch popped in the air. Nobody's going to be able to get to this one down in the bullpen area. Carlos Beltran, very likely the American League's Rookie of the Year. 22 homers, 105 runs batted in. And he's raised his average 3 points today with a perfect afternoon at the plate.
Yeah, Tigers had held him in check for the first 3 games. He was hitless in 10 trips to the plate coming into this ball game.
He's making up for it in a hurry. He fouls this one straight back.
Well, on this date, back in 1933, the seasons were a little bit shorter, and Bucky Harris resigned with a couple of games to go, and they named a fellow by the name of Del Baker to take over the Tiger reins for the following year.
Del Baker's number 31. He's being worn today by Perry Hill, the Tigers' infield and bench coach.
And Baker had a big thing to do with this ball club back in the same date in 1940. He was a manager 3 days ago in the season. Needed to win over the Indians, coupled with a Yankee defeat at the hands of Philadelphia to win the pennant. And what did he do? He took a rookie. And he said, you're going to start. A 25-year-old by the name of Floyd Giebel was 5-17 at Buffalo. Called up with 2.5 weeks to go. Giebel from Pennsboro, West Virginia, kept pace with a guy by the name of Bob Feller and won that ball game, his only major league win of the year, and then was out of baseball the following season.
Well, that's one to remember, huh? Well, we're told by Toby Cunningham and Charlie Stark down in the TV truck that foul ball by Beltran hit the truck.
Get out there, guys, and get that thing.
That's a great souvenir, fellas.
Yeah.
I think Tim Goloback's on his way out there right now.
There he goes.
He's fighting about 2,000 fans for that souvenir on the street right now. Again, the payoff pitch to Beltran. Just a bit outside, and Cordero walks him. And just like that, the Royals have the tying runs on base with nobody out here in the 7th.
Well, Brian Moeller went the first 6 innings. Gave up a couple of runs on 9 hits. Struck out 4. And walked a pair. He threw a lot of baseballs today, though.
Yes, he did. And now a fellow who has been perhaps the most valuable member of the Tigers bullpen this year, Doug Brocail, begins to throw. And there's the familiar number on his back. Number 18 that was worn by John Hiller.
And as you mentioned earlier, John in attendance sitting on the third base side down there. In fact, he was a couple of rows away from Tim Swore earlier in this game, and John looking great. And boy, what a relief pitcher and spot starter he was for the Tigers.
He made the Tigers all-time team. The best relief pitcher in the history of the club. Dye lifts a foul fly to right. Clark racing toward the bullpen. So is Garcia, but they can't get to it.
That was a long run for Clark.
Now there's a job, Ray, that I would not want.
No way. And you know what? I'm not sure. Are they working up there, or is that somebody?
They're adjusting a camera.
Oh, okay.
If you can believe that.
All right. Steve Biondo got to be getting hazard pay.
I hope he's got a safety net underneath there somewhere.
Oh, my.
We are told that he does have a strap around his belt to keep him from tumbling down below, and that's great to hear.
That's on the right field side. First base side, and he is up there on that standard up there. I have trouble with elevators.
Got Dye on a good fastball away. Just blew it by him. One gone.
Well, it did. Tailed off, moving to the outside part of the plate. Watch it again.
Let's see if that's his cutter or his slider, Ray. I think that's just a fastball that's sailed.
Looks like it, yep. Usually get a little bit more movement on that slider.
guess that camera angle is not quite right yet up there for Toby Cunningham and Charlie Stark. There you see the straps holding him on, but my goodness, that's...
No way. No way.
That's what, about 130 feet above the field? I believe the third deck is 86 feet up.
You got to be going at least another 50, you're right?
At least. Mike Sweeney has had a tough day at the plate. 0 for 3.
Got a little breeze up there, too, you know it?
A lot of breeze. That auxiliary scoreboard in left was not always there. Whoa, look out! He buzzed the tower on that one. Sweeney will be dusting himself off. 1-1. That auxiliary scoreboard in left, Ray, didn't come here as we get one more look at this 95-mile-an-hour heater. That scoreboard was introduced in 1961 and was originally in center field at the 440-foot mark.
And straightaway center field?
Straightaway center. But it was our buddy Al Kaline and Norm Cash who told the Tigers, look, it's distracting to us as hitters. You can't have it there. And so they moved it to left, where it's been a fixture now for the last nearly 4 decades. The 1-1. Hit sharply into right. A base hit by Sweeney. Garcia charging, and they're going to hold Sanchez at third. And what an arm Karim Garcia displayed right there, to the delight of this sellout crowd.
Well, Moeller on the ropes a couple of times in this ball game, and his reliever now, Cordero, finds himself on the ropes with the bases loaded. Pitch down and away, an effective looking pitch, and then drilled into right field, and quickly Garcia coming in with the throw.
Bases juiced, 1 out, and here comes Larry Parrish. And he's not going to let the rookie try to get out of this bases loaded jam. He wants the veteran Doug Brocail. So with the Tigers up by a pair, 4-2 here in the 7th. The next Detroiter, Joe Randa, coming up to the plate. Brocail comes into a trouble spot to try to put out the fire on the final day at the corner. Bobby, I think he's in the dugout. Higgins. Well, the Tigers' all-time team was announced last night. Sparky Anderson, the manager. The starting pitchers, Morris and Lolich. John Hiller in the pen, who wore number 18. What an outfield. Gibson, Cobb, and Kaline. Well, what a team. Bill Freehand behind the dish. A Detroiter who said he cried his first day in this ballpark when he realized he made it to the big leagues. Kellen Greenberg, the corner infielders, Trammell and Gehringer in the middle. Now the man wearing John Hiller's number 18 is on the mound, trying to work out of a trouble spot like Hiller did so many times in his career.
Well, we're talking about Freehand, a guy that signed him, that he played for at the University of Michigan. Don Lund was also farm director here with the Tigers, coach and player on hand today. Good to see Don here.
Joe Randa had an RBI single that tied the game back in the 3rd. Now the Tigers up a pair, and Randa fouls one back. 2 strikes the count.
Boy, he just got a piece of that, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Well, Randa, remember, in the 1st inning batted with the bases loaded and 2 out, and he hit a bullet right to Damian Easley at second base to end that threat. The Royals have left 8 men on base through the first 6 innings. They've got the bases loaded with 1 out here in the 7th. The Tigers up by a pair thanks to Karim Garcia's 2-run homer in the 6th. That one's fouled off the gear of Brad Ausmus.
Well, the lights have been on here since we started at 4 o'clock this afternoon, cracked in about 3:15 when they got on here. It reminded me one of my moments back in 1948 of remembering the first night game. As a high school youngster coming out here with a couple of friends and sitting down in the box seats. We were lucky. I don't know how we got the tickets. Mark how hard the bullpen is, the Tiger bullpen.
This could be 2. Easley to Cruz. 2 for the Tigers. 4 over to 6-3, and what a clutch relief job by Doug Brocail. Ray and I are up with a sellout crowd at the corner for the final 7th inning stretch. And the Tigers still lead it by a pair. We're going to enjoy so many great memories after the ball game here on UPN 50. And Ray Lane, you were here when this one was created. Don Wirtz singling home Al Kaline against the Yankees in '68.
And the place went nuts, especially later on when the game was finally completed. And into the locker room at old Champagnesville. Yeah, I remember that night I got tossed into the tub, the hot tub down there. Hey, Santa, I knew you'd make it. You wouldn't miss out on this one. Nice going, Frank. And by the way, I wanted to say you look marvelous today in your attire. Really.
Don't worry, the maitre d' needs this back by 8 tonight. So we've got to get this ball game moving along.
It looks very nice up there.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Lane. You are always resplendent. Well, the Tigers had come up with 2 big double plays in this ball game. And they still lead it by 2 as Davy Cruz starts inning number 7 against Al Mormon. The Royals have twice had the bases loaded with 1 out and failed to score.
A little beach ball out there in right center field. There it is. A little umpire out of timeout.
42,356 enjoying this one, and Bell Tire wants to thank you for watching the Tigers here on UPN 50.
Well, you mentioned the attendance on a 51 years ago. Tigers had their biggest crowd ever, 57,888 against the Cleveland Indians. That was 51 years ago yesterday.
Now, you want to tell me where they could cram in 57,000? I know that with the reduction of the bleachers, the lower bleachers not used, it's a little smaller, but
and they had standing room also.
Davy Cruz thrown out by his old teammate Joe Randa, 1 away here in the 7th. Then they used to sell third deck tickets too.
That's
Remember
exactly
when
right.
the Bird was
That's
here?
Exactly right.
Those tickets were always sold. The all-time attendance at Tiger Stadium, 107 million people. They've come in all shapes and sizes, with all hair colors, too. Luis Polonia is due up, but he's not going to bat here. We're going to get a pinch hitter, and it will be Greg Jeffries, the switch hitter, who'll get a chance to face the left-hander Alvin Mormon, wearing Cecil Fielder's old number. Greg Jeffries, who came to Detroit as a free agent in the offseason and has had a tough season at the plate. But you know he wanted to bat one final time here at Tiger Stadium, and he gets his shot now and hits a grounder up the middle. It's gloved by Sanchez, who got a fortuitous hop off the side of the mound, and he's able to retire Jeffries for the second down.
Boy, that bat broke right down on the handle, and the barrel almost going as far as the baseball did that time. It certainly couldn't have been a Cecil Fielder's model bat, I don't think.
No, I don't
got
think
more
so.
mileage out of it, I think. That might be the last time we see Mr. Jeffries here at Tiger Stadium in a Tigers uniform.
Well, here's a fellow you're going to see for many years to come at Comerica Park. Developing into the real leader of this ball club, Brad Ausmus.
Did you say $2 million?
$2 million in attendance this year.
Well, I was thinking about the salary of Jeffries.
He's one of the many K-Line fans in Detroit. It doesn't matter if you're a modern-day fan or an old-time fan. You remember number 6 if you're a Detroit baseball fan.
Exactly right. And that is out of town, too. Those folks all over the country. I can tell you. K-Line wore 6.
Well, we saw them in Boston. We saw them in Baltimore. We saw them in Cleveland. Ball 3. We saw them in St. Louis, for heaven's sake.
That's right, yeah.
3-0 on Osmonds. And the beach balls are out, and it's been a beach ball kind of day. A warming at the corner for fans of all ages who've enjoyed this one. And Osmus works Mormon for a 2-out walk. 7th inning, a man aboard, 2 outs, and this might be the final at bat at Tiger Stadium for Tony Clark.
Bottom of the 7th here, 4-2 lead. Could be, Frank.
Now this is the man that Al Kaline was rooting for to hit the final home run over the roof at Tiger Stadium. How about just the final home run at Tiger Stadium? There's ball 1. Of course, it would be appropriate if we've seen the last home run in the game, because it was delivered by the man wearing number 6 today, and that was Karim Garcia.
Who no longer is in uniform. He's gone out for a pinch hitter. Jose Santiago warming up for the Royals.
1-1 on Tony Clark.
I think I said Garcia.
Polonia had that home run earlier, and he was representing Kirk Gibson and Willie Horton, and you half expected that when Greg Jeffries batted for him, wearing Cecil Fielder's number 45, that all the stars were in position, Ray, and that he was going to hit one too in honor of Cess. 2-1 on Big Tony. Well, how's this though for synergism, if it could happen, if you could wish and make it so? You've had Horton's number and Gibson's number represented in the home run department by Polonia. K-Line's represented right there by Garcia, and now Tony Clark wearing Hank Greenberg's number and batting from the right side and taking a huge rip.
And that was a Greenberg swing and cut that time. A lot of the folks, older fans, will remember when Greenberg came back from the service and they had to make room for him, and they had Rudy York here. They moved Greenberg to left field, to the outfield. Rudy York stayed at first base.
Well, I'll tell you, Tony Clark is thinking nothing but 2-run homer right now.
Taylorsville looking for it. 36 inches of Louisville.
He's having some big swings up there. He's using that Sam bat, which was originated in Canada. Bat that's made out of maple instead of ash.
Well, we've seen quite a few shatter also, though.
There's a changeup pulled foul. Well, Tony swears they only shatter on the cold days.
Ooh, we were in Oakland. It was pretty warm. Maybe just when he's swinging it. Huh?
Well, Tony claimed it was chilly and kind of moist down there, and that's why they broke. And if you're convinced of that the bat makes a difference, that it's a magic wand, well, that's half the battle, Ray. It's sort of like your favorite putter in golf.
Exactly right. Confidence built.
Changeup misses away. Full count on Tony Clark.
Standing over that putt. Hey, you mentioned the U.S. team yesterday, but standing over the 40-foot putt.
How about some of those putts they made?
Magic brings it. And how about it right now on a 3-2 pitch? Wouldn't be this something?
Osmus at first, 2 out in the 7th. Tigers leading by 2 in the last game at the corner. Tony Clark lifts one to right. It's a foul fly. Can Dye get to it in the bullpen? What a catch! And that one would make K-Line proud, too. It's one of the finest grabs we have seen here at the corner. And it comes in the last game ever. It's by a visitor, but it deserves an ovation and another look. What an effort by Jermaine Dye to end the Tigers' 7th. We head for the 8th. Detroit still with a 2-run lead over the Royals. All the tickets are collector's items. Tim Swar's got to look for us. Tim?
Thanks, Frank. You know, one of the things that everybody's spending a lot of time doing today is standing in line, but for good reason. They're coming up here with their programs, their tickets, and they're getting them embossed. That way they have a chance to remember this day forever. The final game at Tiger Stadium.
And it's been one to remember for the Tigers. Their pitchers have worked out of a number of trouble spots. The Royals have left 10 men on base. The Tigers have turned a pair of double plays and hit a pair of home runs, and they lead by a pair, 4-2. Quinn pops it foul and out of play, 1-1 the count. And this last game will also be memorable for the defense we saw in right field. Defense out in an area, Ray, that they always called K-Line's corner because of the way Al played it, but what a catch by Jermaine Dunn.
Beautiful. I didn't think he was going to be able to catch up with it. And when he left his feet, he just floated through the air, stuck out the glove, and did the job.
Quinn hits one out deep to center, but Barti's got the range. And there's one out. Kamara Barti has taken over in center field. Gabe Kapler, who had been in center, is now patrolling right field. And the right fielder, Kareem Garcia, has moved to left after Polonia was removed for the pinch hitter. We're in the 8th inning. The Tigers are 5 outs away from a victory in their last game ever at the corner. Jeremy Giambi, hitless today, takes outside, ball 1. There's a strike. The count even at 1-1.
Well, the Royals with a 62-94 record right now. As we mentioned earlier, their 7th losing season in 10 years. 97 games lost would equal a franchise record for them. They've got a very good chance of surpassing that this year if they can come out of a tailspin before the final week. And, of course, the Tigers will wrap it up over in Kansas City next weekend.
And we'll be there on Saturday here on UPN 50. For our final telecast. Giambi strikes out swinging at that Brocail knuckle curve. The 3rd time Giambi has gone down on strikes.
First strikeout now for Brocail in this ball game. Hey, I'd like to remind you fans, stay right here on UPN 50 for the final outs of this game. And then, of course, we'll be having the post-game ceremonies coming to your way live right here from Tiger Stadium. And following that, just about an hour and 15-minute special presentation of the history of the Tigers, something that you'll really want to watch in a day to remember right here on UPN 50.
Yeah, just keep those VCRs rolling is what you're saying, Ray.
That's exactly right.
I guarantee you, in this town, there are VCRs humming all over the place. And from everything I hear about the closing ceremony, and then the day to remember that you were so involved in, Mr. Lane, that when it's over, there's not going to be a dry eye in town either.
It'll be emotional, no doubt about it. I got a little choked up reading some of and looking at some of the work, and also with some of the people that we talked with.
Well, Al and I were talking the other night, and I think you were here when you said, you know, it just doesn't seem possible that we have gotten to September the 27th so quickly.
I can remember you fellas talking about on opening day. I thought, oh boy, a lot of time. Don't worry about it. Summer has gone by, and look at here.
Another year has passed quickly. And the history of this ballpark has gone by quickly. Gruder chases that high one. And Brocail's got him 2-2 right here with 2 out in the 8th. What a job Brocail did. Yeah, this is the famous final scene. It's got most people's attention.
Yep.
Got him looking. Gruder doesn't like it, but Brocail nipped the corner at the knees. And he fans 2 in a row. It's a 1-2-3-8. The Tigers come into bat. And they'll try to add to their 4-2 lead. So many memories. 1984, San Diego in for the World Series, and Alan Trammell lets the nation know what the corner was all about. The Tigers winning in 5, the last time they've won the World Series championship, 1984. And it's great that Tram can be in uniform as a Tigers coach to enjoy it in this final year at the ballpark. Well, here's a fella who is making his final appearance ever here at the corner. The Royals all-time saves leader Jeff Montgomery, who's retiring at the end of the season, and whose first pitch to Dean Palmer is up high for ball one. What a career it's been for the man they call Monty.
Really has had a very courageous career and still got some pretty good pitches to work with, especially that breaking and hard slider working their way to the right-hander.
304 career saves. That's 9th on the all-time list, 6 away from Goose Gossage. Well, Montgomery talked about this week how he won a Roll Age Relief Award in the closing of another stadium. Dean Palmer drilling one to the corner. That'll be his second hit, and it'll be a two-bagger. His 24th double of the year.
Well, former teammate said, hey, you know, I know what you throw. No question about it, fair by about 2 or 3 feet.
So Dean Palmer's got a couple of hits to remember his final game at Tiger Stadium by. Damian Easley will bat next. We'll take one more look at that hanging breaking ball.
That's exactly right, just above the belt. Boy, he can handle that very easily. Rips it fair by about 4 feet down that left field corner. And easily into second base. Speaking of easily,
here he is. He's had a perfect day in more ways than one in his Tiger Stadium finale. Single, double, sacrifice bunt. That pitch called a strike. And in the field, Damian started that big double play in the 7th. That got the Tigers out of trouble when they led 4-2. Bases loaded, 1 out. Joe Randa slapped a ground ball to the right side, and easily wearing Charlie Gehringer's old number 2 started the twin killing. Damian had to sacrifice his last time up. He fouls that on the screen. It's 0-2.
a little frustrated with himself that time, trying to look like trying to push it down on the first base side if he could, maybe push it past the pitcher. Slapped at the bat after he fouled it off. Finds himself in the hole now, 0-2.
I mentioned Jeff Montgomery closing another ballpark, and that was the old Texas Stadium in Arlington back in '93. He retired Juan Gonzalez for the final out in that stadium, Ray, for his 45th and final save of the year that won him the Roll Age Relief Award that year. And here he is, perhaps the last reliever ever to pitch in Tiger Stadium in an opposing uniform, too.
Got a little history on the side, hasn't he?
Yeah, everybody's had the cameras out today. It's been a steady flash of bulbs around the ballpark. There you see the numbers for Jeff Montgomery. All of his saves with the Royals. What a great career it's been for a guy who is supposedly too small to pitch in the big leagues. The 1-2 to Easley, trying to deliver an insurance run here in the 8th, and that just missed inside.
A little arm motion that time, a little head motion. Didn't fool Easley and didn't go for it. It was out of the strike zone. Yeah, he'll remember this. Gee, Dad, yeah, I remember when you took me to that final game at Tiger Stadium.
Well, the tradition continues. It's passed on from generation to generation. Easley squeaks one through the right side. Dye's got a great arm, and Palmer will not challenge it. Now the ball skips away up the third baseline, and while Palmer will not be able to score, Easley will be able to move up to second base. Well, the Royals just botched that one right there.
Really did.
And this young lady says there's nothing wrong in this ballpark today.
When we get a threat, I get hungry.
So the Tigers with a great opportunity to add to their lead. Good job of hitting by Damian, going the opposite way, trying to make sure he gets that runner over to third with nobody out.
One after that breaking pitch.
And Dye's throw a little bit high, and Sweeney couldn't glove it. And now Karim Garcia, who delivered that go-ahead homer last time up to give everybody a moment to remember from number 6 one more time.
Game of the 6th inning, opposite field, and could it possibly be the last home run hit at Tiger Stadium?
There will be time for more. Bases loaded after the intentional walk to Garcia. And now the veteran Montgomery will face one of the Tigers of the future, Tony Muser, wondering what fate lies ahead in this final inning at the old ballpark for his Royals. Well, here you go, Ray. Guy representing Ty Cobb without a number on his back, and the cameras are poised to record this moment.
And the infield drawn in.
Look at this crowd now. Beginning to rise to its feet. How would this be? Gabe Kapler representing the greatest Tiger of them all. With the bases loaded, nobody out in the 8th. Ball 2.
Well, you can feel it. You can feel it throughout this stadium. You can see the flash bulbs going off, but you can feel the tension and the emotion with these fans.
Ray, they're even capturing the moments between pitches. The 2-0. Tapped back to the mound. Montgomery throws too high, but Cruder with a great tag. And Dean Palmer is not going to win that argument that he got underneath the tag by the catcher. Larry Parrish is out at the plate. Well, how about one argument for old time's sake?
Oh, sure. I'm out here, and Rocky, how do you like it? Well, how do you feel? A little emotion? There's the throws high. Keep an eye on him.
He's safe.
Yeah, he got in there. You can see Cruder come down with a tag. Now watch it again. Watch the feet coming in. High throw.
He's in there.
Yeah.
Well, Larry Parrish gave it the old college try, trying to convince the Detroiter Rocky Rowe to change his mind. And Rocky, my old friend, I'm not going to second guess you. Well, here's Robert Fick, another man who's counted out in the future, wearing Norm Cash's number 25. Remember, Al told him he'd hit a home run today.
Oh,
and he did!
There it is!
There she goes! And it is on the roof! Robert Fick, a grand slam that hits the roof and comes back. K-Line called it.
Oh!
How do you like that? Look at these flashbulbs. What a moment.
Look out for the lumberyard.
Oh, and Storm and Norman have loved that.
And the flash bulbs continue to go off here, just like that home run ball. Robert Fick. Whoa, baby. And Norm, if you're looking down, what a job. Reminds me of a stroke that Norm Cash would take.
Davy Cruz slaps it to third. The throw in the dirt, and it's dug out by Sweeney. 2 gone. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Ray. This huge crowd has really got something to remember the finale by now, doesn't it?
No doubt about it, Frank Beckman. No doubt about it. And we're going to have to see if we K-Line in the offseason, we'll just go into some fortune telling, you know?
I guarantee you, I want to find out this week's lottery numbers.
Todd Jones warming up now. The Tiger bullpen continues to throw down there.
And they're chanting Robert's name. They want a curtain call, and there it is. He's wearing the number of Norm Cash, who cleared the roof and right 4 times. And Rob Fick nearly did it in the finale at Tiger Stadium. It bounced twice on the roof and then came back down.
Was that a swing? Was that a swing?
Does that smile tell you anything right there?
Look at that.
1-2 on Kamara Barti, wearing Rocky Colavito's old number 7.
Well, maybe Harvey Keys, huh?
Maybe Billy Rogel.
No, go ahead and say it. Don't suppose I interrupted you.
Don't suppose. Up the middle, Sanchez. Got it. Well, it's 8-2 Tigers. 3 outs away from a win. in the last game ever at Tiger Stadium, and Robert Fick has given us a moment to remember in the last game at the corner. You hit a grand slam home run, perhaps the last one ever in Tiger Stadium. Well, of course, you come out and you warm up the next pitcher. That's Robert Fick. The moment that will make everybody remember this finale at the old ball yard. Fick hits the roof and right off Jeff Montgomery, and he nearly hit it out onto Trumbull like Norm Cash did 4 times in his career. Fick, wearing number 25, just missed it. And now the man who asked to pitch in this final game at Tiger Stadium, who was warmed up by Rob Fick, Todd Jones. First man he faces at the top of the order, batting for Fabulous, will be the pinch hitter, Scott Pose. Bobby Higginson among those capturing every moment. Bobby dressed out today despite the surgery on his foot. And Bobby is wearing number 34, Juan Encarnacion's number. And also the number that Chet Lemon wore here in Detroit. Here's the 1-1 to Pose, and Jonesy just blew it by him. Todd Jones had requested the opportunity, the honor of being the last Tiger to pitch in the final game. And how do you like this on the bench, Ray? Camera's out. He got Pose swinging to start the ninth. 2 outs away.
Take another look at it now. Jonesy re-gripped that ball, a little breaking pitch. The wrinkle comes back in around the letters, hits the outside corner with it, and a little easy swing, and nothing happens. 1 gone.
Ray Sanchez bats next. By the way, that homer by Rob Fick, that memorable one, sending $50 and a case of Coca-Cola to the Police Athletic League of Detroit, compliments of Coke. Soft liner right to Easley. And we're 1 out away from wrapping up more than 100 years of history at the corner. Well, Ray, everybody's on their feet. We might as well join them.
I think so. Why not? Great feeling. Even Santa over there.
Carlos Beltran will be the Rookie of the Year in the American League, most likely. Fouls one out of play. He's had a memorable finale at Tiger Stadium.
Really has. What a job he has done. And 3 for 3 in this ball game. Couple of singles, a double, and drew a walk.
Todd Jones 1 out away from making the Tigers a winner on this last day at the corner, and we're almost blinded by the flashes as Beltran fouls it back.
And somebody 20 years from say, where were you on the 27th of September 1999? I took this picture. Here's where I was.
For the 6,873rd game at the corner, and that just missed. Everybody trying to freeze that final moment, not only in their own memory, but in their own scrapbook.
That's exactly right.
Oof. Up and away. There are some people right now, Ray, running out of film.
I know a guy in the booth that's doing that right now.
Jeff Morals doing that up here with us. The 2-2.
Yeah.
Got him! Ball game! Thank you, old friend.
It's impossible to keep up with my husband. He's
6,873 games were played here at the corner of Michigan and Trumbull. And today the Tigers won for the 3,764th time. They talked at the start of the ball game how Brian Moeller was the losingest pitcher in the American League with his 16 defeats. But the history books will also record that he was the winning pitcher on this last day at the corner. Made memorable in a lot of ways, but especially by the home run ball. Luis Polonia hitting one to start the ball game, and Rob Fick closing the ball game with the most memorable home run of them all. The final home run at the corner, a grand slam on the roof. And it'll long be remembered as the blow that sealed a win for the Tigers in their last game ever at the corner. Another memory to enjoy, and a lot of good people who brought the memories to you here on UPN 50. Toby and Charlie and Tim and the rest of our crew were marvelous here at the corner. Billy Rogel's first pitch was certainly a strike. Al Kaline again was a hit. And remember, it was Al who exchanged the lineup card with George Brett, then came upstairs and enjoyed the power show. Polonia wearing the 23 of Horton and Gibson. Brian Moeller, sharpen up. Kareem wearing Al's number 6, putting the Tigers on top. And then, as Kaline had predicted before the game, when all was said and done, that Rob Fick would go deep, he did. We saw Jermaine Dye in Kaline's corner, but we saw Rob Fick, like Norm Cash, who went over the roof 4 times, nearly repeated the last home run in Tiger Stadium appropriately on the roof as the flash bulbs popped and the moment was frozen forever in time. And Todd Jones, the most emotional Tiger of them all, gets the save to say so long to a great old friend.
The Tigers winners 8-2. They've played at this site for 104 years, in this ballpark for 88. They go out winners today, and the first official act that they did upon the conclusion of the game was digging up home plate, which is going to be transported tonight over to the new Comerica Park. We've got about an hour of fabulous festivities coming your way next.
That's right, David, and right now we've got one of the heroes of this ball game, Rob Fick, wearing the number of Norm Cash, and you hit one to the rooftops, a grand slam. Rob, you've got to be flying high.
Most definitely. First, I just want to say hello to all my family out there watching. Only a couple could be here today, and I'd just like to dedicate that to my father. He passed away last year, and I know he was watching.
Rob, congratulations. Were you thinking of Norm Cash when you hit it?
No, I was thinking of my dad.
Really?
He meant the most to me, and he got me to where I am today. I get all choked up about it, but it's a special moment, and to give it to these fans, I mean, all the stuff they've been through. I mean, who's Robert Fick to them right now? But, you know, just that I could give something to them is something I'm never going to forget, and to my teammates.
Rob, congratulations, and great game.
Thank you.
All right, well, David, you know, if you talk about the numbers that players were wearing, Kaline hit a homer, Horton hit a homer, Cobb hit a homer, and Cash hit a homer.
Yeah, it's quite a remarkable coincidence. In fact, number 25 almost put one out. Norm Cash put 4 over that roof in his career, the most of any man to hit him out of Tiger Stadium. Again, we refer to them digging up home plate. I think we've got video of that occurred just a few moments ago. They held it up like a prize trophy when they finally got that out of the ground.
It took a little picking to get it done, though.
That is going to be taken over in the next 20 minutes to the new Comerica Park, where about 100 Little Leaguers will surround the home base area in the new park, representing the future of Tiger baseball, and they will plant that plate there. And we've got about 65 to 70 old-time Tigers in uniform suited up. We're going to be coming out here